here in Chicago, where we are live from the College Basketball Hall of Fame induction ceremony. I got Robbie Hummel here. He's not getting inducted. I got Jeff Goodman here. My name is Rob Dauster, and we are, of course, honoring none other than Tyler Hansbrough, one of the greatest college basketball players that we've seen in a long time, and the best pickleball player here at the Field of 68. Tyler, I'm going to roll through your bio here
Also
really
a
quick.
Field of 68, contributor.
Yeah.
This guy over here
Shows up for two shows and is complaining about nothing.
I'm
Tyler's
here. What do you
grinding
mean?
Tyler grinded
out the whole
over here.
season,
That's
man.
right.
It's an honor.
That's right. Now it's honestly, it's great to be here for you.
Thank you.
Honestly, as much as anything, come here, be here for you. Obviously, we've known each other a long time. To watch how you've grown, both on and off the court, really, really cool honor. And again, listen, for my money, best college basketball player in the last 20 years.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And, you don't ever really play to be in the Hall of Fame, just to be quite honest with you. But, I'm from a small town, Poplar Bluff, Missouri. I've had a lot of people help me, and probably wouldn't be in the position I am with a lot of, great coaches, teammates. So hopefully, my town and all the community, this can, represent them as well. So I'm happy to be here.
Rob, would you list his accolades?
Yeah,
I think you're about to.
I was
think
about
you
to, and
need
then
to
Goodman
start
started talking,
I
which
know.
is kind of how things normally go in the Field of 68. Longtime listeners will understand that. You were four-time first-team All-ACC. You were a three-time first-team All-American, a four-time All-American. You were only second-team as a freshman, which, it wasn't a great year for you. You won the National Player of the Year award in 2008. You won the national championship in 2009, which is not a bad career, right? Not bad.
Crazy.
Decent.
I mean,
What do you think?
when he reads that, though, does it hit you what you were able to – I mean, again, you said, small town. I don't know what you thought you were coming in to do at North Carolina, but probably not that.
No, I was a little lucky as well. And the reason I say that is because you look at the 05 team, they won a national championship. Sean May left. Marvin Williams left. They had a lot of guys go pro. And usually as a freshman, you come in, you're backing somebody up, and you're kind of learning. But I was thrown right into the fire. And, it's when you list those accolades, as a competitor, you go in there and you think you can compete with anybody right from the get. And it sounds cocky, but that's the way you got to approach it. But I never really played, it's hard to play hey, I want to be first team All-American. But you want to have a good game, and you want to take it game by game. But, no, I mean, let's be honest. Going to North Carolina has probably been one of the best decisions I've made, and I couldn't have made a better decision. It worked out for me.
What's the best part of playing for Roy Williams? You got to play for a guy that's a Hall of Famer himself. What was your favorite part of playing for Roy?
My favorite part playing for Coach Williams is, everyone looks at somebody who's had a lot of success, and they're looking for a secret formula. There is no secret formula. Coach Williams showed up every single day and worked. And I think the best thing that I learned from Coach Williams is every single day he worked. There was no major progress. He was a person who showed up on time, did the right things, was very respectful, and we worked hard as well. And I value all those traits, and it's carried over, into my everyday life as well. I'm still paranoid about being late, and so things like that, I think. Really contribute to having a lot of success. And I don't think anybody, when you look at Coach Williams, I don't think he was X and O genius. I think he just knew how to run a team. His preparation was great, and I think a lot can be said about that.
You have Coach K sitting right over there. You guys are being honored in the same year. Are you feeling a little itchy right now?
Did you ride over with him too?
Hey, that's behind us. I talked to him, man. It's an honor to be here with him. He's done a lot for college basketball. It just feels like this is just a universal answer at this point. But there would be no rivalry without him. What he built at Duke and what we had in college, those two games every year, I got up for him. I was excited about him. And I probably wouldn't have had that if it wasn't for him, what he did at Duke.
I wanted to ask you about expansion, and it's on the minds and the topics of every college basketball show or fans you hear talking. North Carolina's getting brought up a lot in it, and Duke is not so much. Is there a way that you see these two schools not being together anymore? I think for me, I can't fathom that they wouldn't be in the same league.
I think they'll play. Now, if you ask me here in 10 years, do I think they'll be an ACC, Big 12? No, I don't. I don't think that what they're doing right now is sustainable. I think they're going to have to figure something out. But, I laugh at when I hear about like UCLA or, Stanford coming over to the ACC. It's Atlantic Coast. That's the West Coast. It makes no sense to me. And I don't know. It's gotten kind of weird, but I think that we've got to find a way for us to play Duke every year at least twice, home and away.
I hear a lot of jokes about North Carolina degrees, but Tyler just proved it. He knows the difference between the Atlantic Ocean and the Pacific Ocean.
So you and I was down in Chapel Hill, and we talked to Armando Baycott about, 3-4 weeks ago. And one of the things we were talking about the NIL, and he admitted kind of how difficult it was for him last off season with everything that was thrown at him. When you look at how NIL has changed the landscape, do you think it's good overall for kids? Like, obviously you would have loved to have made the money. You would have crushed it.
Yeah, well, I think it's good and bad. I think it gives a chance for kids to make money, and I don't think it's right for someone who's being recruited that doesn't have a lot of money. There's no reason they shouldn't have an opportunity to have somebody buy their meal or get meals and stuff like that. But I think that kids need to value coaching. They need to value things that money can't buy. University being part of a great program, getting coached by a great quality coach. I mean, those are things that, you can't buy, and you'll learn habits and you'll learn traits that will last you the rest of your life. So I think there's something to be said about that. I think kids are, just too quick to jump at money instead of, hey, I need to look at the university as a whole and value coaching and great teammates and things like that.
Well, look at what it did for you and your relationships, right, after playing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
What it's been able to do. Again, you've got kids leaving. Hunter Dickinson's a good example, right? He leaves Michigan, which is a place with unbelievable contacts, goes to Kansas. He'll be there 8 months. Mm-hmm. And does he lose that whole, that network that he had built at Michigan? You have that forever now. You have that forever at Purdue.
Yep, and that's very valuable. I think that can't – a price can't be put on that because of the people you know and the people that want to help you because you graduated from North Carolina or I graduated from Purdue. Tyler, I wanted to ask you about life after pro basketball. I know Rob made the joke about pickleball. I know you've gotten really into that. Have you enjoyed doing the media side of it? Have you enjoyed, kind of doing the podcasts and being on television and doing all that?
Not as much as playing. I do.
Never the same.
I do
Come on, Tyler.
I do miss playing, but no, I enjoy it. I enjoy laughing and not taking life so serious. Waking up, and I enjoy spending holidays with my family. You know how that is. You get a little balance in your life. But yeah, I miss playing. But my body feels great right now. I don't have get out of bed. I don't have a backache or my knee bothering me right now. So something to be said about that. But no, I've been enjoying doing the media and staying around the game, and it's a way to stay around and stay close to basketball.
Is pickleball enough to get the competitive juices flowing for you?
Pickleball can get competitive. I know Robbie plays a little bit.
Yes.
He said his dad's really into it.
He beats my ass.
You can walk out there and get smacked by an 80-year-old.
Yeah.
Okay, if you don't know what you're doing, and you can really get humbled. And
third shot drop better be low at the net, right? At somebody's feet.
Let me tell you, amateurs, get the third shot drop down. Once you do that, you'll be able to smack anybody. But
there's pickleball courts here.
Oh, I know. Oh, yeah. I brought my paddle, too. My brother's
you?
got his paddle. My brother's here.
Nice.
Yeah, and we take it pretty much everywhere we go. But there's a lot of trash talking in pickleball. I like that. It's competitive. But, I can't approach it.
Will you trash talk an old dude?
Oh, yeah.
80-year-old dude.
Anybody that steps on the court, yeah.
If
I body bag them, I'll trash talk.
Dude, what do you think about the rule that you can't enter the kitchen after, winning a point? Where if you go in for, a smash – you got to almost jump stop at the line. My dad called
it. So your momentum
cannot take you into the kitchen.
If you have a good partner, they can go behind you and pull you back.
Is that right?
That's
so you got to get good team chemistry.
I need that.
Yeah, they can do that. But me and you have the advantage. We have a little length.
That's true.
So we can smack it back a little bit and catch people off guard.
Tyler's got something at his house. Tell him about what you have that you kind of practice in your house, right?
Yeah, I got I got one of these. It's a dink board. So I hit practice volleys right there in
We need video.
right there in my
Dinking,
living room.
dinking is
man.
hard because it takes patience.
So hard.
Oh,
You got to be patient. You can't just be like, you know what, forget it. I'm hitting a winner. Like that. That's where I always want to go.
It's a mental challenge.
It is.
because you want to just speed up everything. But
Totally.
you can't do that. But yeah, I mean, I love it.
What do you like? If there was one thing that you miss most from your college basketball career, what was it?
The one thing I miss is probably joking and having fun, with my teammates and being a college kid. I really miss that. And when I mean that is like, working together and then going, grabbing dinner and stuff like that, and joking, going out, having fun.
So Wes Miller's going to come on later, and he's going to make fun of you. Like, he will. So you might as well get him first. Give us your best Wes Miller story. Is there something good back when Wes – and you guys overlapped for what, a year or two?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wes Miller was he was like ranked the #1 tennis player
That's right.
in
Really
the country when he was like
Really?
really young. So he's pretty good at tennis, but I used to smack him at ping pong. So you should bring that up to him.
I'm
so
just shocked.
you won't be able to get him, but I used to smack him all the
what,
time.
what are you
Hey,
trying to
Tyler,
say?
Tyler,
Trying
when
to
he-
say
you're
I'm
not
falling
any
off
good.
too much.
That's what
When he
saying.
challenged you to a ping pong match,
I had him.
at the Final Four, do you remember what the score was?
What was
Kick
it?
my ass.
21-3.
No, it was not that
Listen,
bad.
that'd
No,
been
I got
years
like
in the
8.
work. Because he beat me in college, and he talked smack to me for years.
I beat
and
you
years.
easy.
And so it'd been boiling up in me.
I can't believe you have a backhand in pickleball.
Oh, yeah,
like
you
that.
got
That's
to.
the most shocking thing to
Yeah,
me.
yeah, you
Is
can't.
it a slight? Like, what do you got?
I don't have the slice yet. I wish I had
You're
the
going
slice.
topspin, huh?
Topspin.
Topspin backhand.
100%.
Do you ever look back at the North Carolina team you were on that won the national title and think, holy shit, we had so many good players? I mean,
Absolutely.
yourself, Ty Lawson, Brennan Wright, Wayne Ellington, Deion
It's
Thompson,
insane.
Danny. I mean, that's Danny Green. That's an insane.
Tyler Zeller. Yeah.
Yeah, an insane
Ed
list
Davis.
of players.
Yeah, I mean, we always have this argument, 05 or 09, and I always tell people, it's like, man, our team is stacked.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at
And
me,
05
but
was
also-
stacked, too. I mean, it's
Yeah,
insane.
Weren't you guys deeper? I felt like you guys were a little bit deeper than 05. Man.
We were deep. I mean, we had Ed Davis coming off the bench.
Man, that's
we had
insane.
Tyler Zeller, who was hurt. I mean, Deion Thompson.
Good player.
Yeah, good
Deion's
player.
a really good player.
Danny Green, Marcus Ginyard, Bobby Frazier, Wayne Ellington, Ty Lawson. I mean, I felt like we were pretty loaded.
I would say.
I mean, you just named like 10 NBA
know,
players.
seriously,
Like,
it's unbelievable.
you guys weren't bad. Not bad at all.
No, I mean, we were loaded. I mean, we should have won it. I mean, we're the most talented.
Do you have any? I asked this question to Kay earlier. Not regrets, but like a do-over. Is there anything in your career that you would have done differently? Looking back,
College career.
it could be either.
My sophomore year, I did have a down year, and I didn't approach it because my freshman year went so smoothly. I wish, when you look at that, I felt like that was my worst year in college. So maybe a little bit different, but no, I wouldn't have changed anything.
What did you do different? Like you didn't work as hard in the off season?
I didn't feel like I added a lot to my game. Looking back, if I would have focused more on preparing for my sophomore year, would have had a much better year.
For the record, you were a consensus first-team All-American as a sophomore.
It's a high bar.
As your
Yes,
off-
I think
as your
Jared
off-
Dudley was ACC Player of the Year, though.
He was
that year.
good, man.
Yeah, he was
Dudley
pretty
could
good.
play.
Yeah.
Talk about a guy who maximized his ability, Jared, and he talked a lot of shit.
Yeah.
A lot of
Who
shit.
do you think was the best ACC player you faced against in college?
I mean, it's J.J. Redick's the best player that I played in college. As far as, having battles with, Trevor Booker from Clemson
Beast.
was a tough one.
He matched your toughness,
Yeah,
didn't
he was athletic. He was strong.
he? Yeah.
Yeah, that dude was a beast.
How far down that list do you have to go before you get to Terrence Oglesby?
Yo.
500?
Man, he was a shooter. Totally different position.
He was a shooter.
100, dude. Oh, my God. Dauster.
All right, well, listen, we're going to let you mingle. Really good to see you here. Congrats. And we'll see you around here. And, again, listen, I think the festivities are done at 10. I don't know if there's any lights on the court, the pickleball court.
If there are, you let me know.
All right, we're in.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank
Listen.
Congrats, dude. Definitely. Good to see you.
Big news. The Almanac is officially back. The most exhaustive and comprehensive guide to the 2023-24 college basketball season is available for pre-order now. If you go to cbbalmanac.com, link is in the description below, you can pre-order for just $15.99 or 20% off the sticker price. The format is going to be a little bit different this season. Instead of an 850-page PDF, you'll be getting access to the full site with league-by-league PDFs available for download. The preview will be live on September 20th, so you have until then to be able to get your pre-orders in. So for insight for all 362 Division I teams from their head coaches and the experts that cover them, make sure you hit that link. Our partner for today's episode is Athletic Greens. I started taking AG1 during the college basketball season, and I loved the impact that it had on my energy levels. I'm a big coffee in the morning guy, but by the time that the afternoon would hit, I needed another boost. AG1 helped me tremendously, especially on those days when I didn't want to get up off the couch and go hit the gym. Their tagline is AG1 is comprehensive health and the power of habit in one. And man, that could not be more true. It's nearly impossible to eat and drink in a healthy manner in the month of February and the month of March when you are in my business. And AG1 was exactly the supplement that I needed to improve my gut health and cover my nutritional basis for the day. I've continued that into April. I've continued that into May, and I'm going to continue that the rest of the summer. All I have to do is mix a scoop of AG1 with some water or maybe add it into a smoothie, and I'm ready to go. Do it after lunch, and you'll be ready to go for the rest of the day. If a comprehensive solution is what you need from your supplement routine, then Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Go to athleticgreens.com/field68. That's Field 68 FIELD, the number 6, the number 8, and you can get yours now. So check it out and help support this show. Thanks. Welcome back to the Field of 68. We are live here at the College Basketball Hall of Fame induction ceremony. I'm thrilled to be joined by UCF head coach Johnny Dawkins. Johnny, let me roll through real quick a little bit of your career highlights. National Player of the Year in 1986, 2-time first-team All-American, 4-time All-ACC. You scored 2,556 points, and if it wasn't for J.J. Redick, you would still be Duke's all-time leading scorer. When we talked with Coach K about 4 hours ago, Hummel didn't show up for that interview.
Hold on.
He said,
okay.
He said Duke would not be Duke without Johnny Dawkins. So now that you are here with him, College Basketball Hall of Fame, what does it mean?
It's surreal, to be here with Coach. It's an amazing, experience for me, having played for him for 4 years and then coached with him for 10. And so I'm just really humbled by this opportunity, but I'm so thankful that I'm going in with Coach. I mean, I couldn't go in with a better person, better man, and a friend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what does it mean when you hear people say that? Because not just Coach K says it, like Johnny Dawkins was the guy who kind of got Duke going. But it's true. I mean, you really did. There wasn't a lot of momentum before you got there, and you put the program on the map, and momentum's everything.
No, definitely. Well, I'll start by saying, for me, and I mean this, no one gets there by themselves, and we all know that. I was fortunate. I had great teammates. I really did, and I'm the one that's receiving a lot of attention because of when I made the decision, and that's great. But I do understand that we wouldn't have done it, and I wouldn't have done it if it hadn't been for the guys that were around me. The guys like Tommy Amaker, Mark Allery, David Henderson, Jay Billis. We can go on and on and on with the guys I played with. And we had a special group. It was a very unique group that they put together, they assembled. But it was a group that, for me, it was the right fit and allowed me to do what I do best.
Mm-hmm. When you think about playing for Coach K, is there a story or a favorite memory that comes to mind when you look back on those years?
Yeah, but I can't share it now. But I'll tell you, one of the funniest times for me as a player when we were together was when we beat Carolina in the ACC tournament, my sophomore year. And They were a great team, you know, and we hadn't beaten them yet. And now we're in the ACC tournament, and we knock them off. And so then the semis. And so we said we're gonna beat this team, but like, you know what? We're gonna win tonight. And when we win, we're gonna go out there and we're just gonna walk through the shake line and, you know, act like, you know, it's no big deal. This is what we do. We win the game. Next thing I know, he's jumping up and hugging me.
Oh, he couldn't help himself.
I'm going, Coach, I thought we were supposed to just walk off. Be quiet, Johnny.
That's good. That is good.
So the first ACC title that Coach K won came in 1986. That was your senior year. It was his 6th year with the program, right? In 2023, if it was the same situation, would he have been given 6 years? Would he have been allowed to kind of work through the slow start that he had to his career? Or is that changed? Is that mindset changed in college basketball now?
Well, the landscape has changed. That becomes more difficult based on everything that I've seen and during this time. But again, it depends on your athletic director, how strong he is. Now, he had a great athletic director, Tom Butters, God rest his soul, was incredible. And even then he was receiving pressure, but he withstood the pressure. He took on the heat for Coach during that time and allowed Coach to continue to develop us as a team. And so I think it depends on your administration. If they're strong enough to withstand social media and all the different things that are coming at you negatively, if they can stand strong, you can survive it. But it becomes more difficult now because of, you know, it just swells. It just changes now. The momentum changes so fast from who we like and who we don't.
Mm-hmm. What's the biggest lesson that you took from him coaching-wise? You know, from when you played from him, then obviously when you were an assistant for almost 10 years, then you go on to be a head coach. What's kind of the lesson that you've taken from him? Because you guys are different personality-wise.
Definitely. And it's funny you say that. You know, he always told me, you know, just be yourself. Don't try to be me. You know, he didn't try to be someone else when he took over as a head coach. He said just be yourself, because the players will know if you're genuinely, you know, who you are, or if you're trying to be someone else. And then the other one was being prepared. You know, we never went into a game that we weren't prepared. And I mean, you know how important that is. Every time we walked on the court, I knew everything about my opponent, my matchup, the other team. And I carry that with me to this day. You know, we don't go in any matchup that we're not extremely prepared for what we need, what we're going to face. And I took that from him.
You know, John Shire, now the head coach at Duke, he has the tough job of, I guess, walking in Coach K's shoes after he's now gone. When you were recruiting John, and even when you were coaching him as a freshman, did you think that he would want to get into coaching, or did you ever see any signs that maybe that this would be his path?
Well, the thing I loved about John the most was I loved his passion for the game. And so it's no surprise that he's coaching. He loved the game. And, you know, from one player to another who understands that, I like to see that in players. And not only did he love it, I mean, he did study the game. He wanted to be very good at the game. And he had an unbelievable competitive streak. You know, when we would practice or games, I always knew he was going to max out. You know, we laugh about it when I see him on the road sometime now about some of those early days. But I'm really happy for him. I think he'll do a terrific job. And it's a well-deserved opportunity for him.
All right, be honest. Did you want that phone call or not want it from Kay? In terms of if he called you and been like, hey, Johnny, I want you to be the guy to take over for me. No, I know a lot of guys are like, I didn't want any part of that one.
No, I'm never going to say that because that wouldn't be true. You know, for me, if I got in the call, absolutely. First of all, you get in the call to go back to your alma mater, coach. Yeah. Coach K calls your number, he wants you to be there.
You got no choice,
right? I mean, so that's how I approach that. But I also understand the decision and the direction they've gone, and also it all works well. And I'm very happy with where I am. They're happy in the situation they're in now, and we all move forward.
What's it like coaching your son in college? You know, you got to coach Aubrey for a couple seasons down at UCF. Is it challenging? Is it fun? Is it both? Is it hard? You know, it just seems like it's such a unique situation.
You know, I loved it. It was a situation in which I wasn't sure if I wanted to do that, as you mentioned, because of all the above. But I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world to have him there with me during that time. We had a great experience. You know, I gave him some parameters, like in this gym, never call me dad. You know, in the locker room, don't fight my battles for me. You know, I can fight my own battles. because we all playing. You already know how that
Well, there's
goes.
so many times you're like, man, coaches, what is he talking about? Your teammates, man, I'm not with coach today. It's like it's your dad. It's different. I mean, it's just a different dynamic.
So those gave him some parameters, and and he adhered to them, and he had such a good personality. His teammates loved him because one thing about him, he's such a good man that in the locker room, on the court, he had gained all of their trust. And I think that made my, coaching him a lot easier.
All right, Johnny, I'm going to put you on the spot. I want your all-time best Duke starting five.
All-time best Duke starting five.
Duke starting five.
Wow, that's almost impossible to achieve. I mean, you have.
Do you start? Are you putting yourself at the one?
Oh, definitely. I don't know who we have in the five.
Send that to Jay Williams, Trevor. Send that to Jay Williams.
Please. I don't know who's in the five, but I know I'm in the five. Then but you have guys like Grant Hill, Christian Laettner. I mean, those, obviously those guys were amazing players. You have guys like, of course, Jason Williams, man. Come on, man. What a phenomenal career he had in 3 years. He was terrific. You still have guys like, Bobby Hurley. She's still the all-time assist leader in the history of college basketball, I believe. I mean, Shane Battier. What a player he was.
Yeah, you can't pick five. It's hard to pick five.
No, it's impossible.
Exactly. You can't. That's what makes it so fun for everyone. Is the fact when you start trying to go down that list, I mean, it's just so many players, that you can choose from that would be deserving. And so it pretty much becomes, I always say, it becomes who do you, basically what appeals to you as the individual. I like this type of guard or this type of big.
You notice he didn't say the one guy that broke his scoring record, right? We didn't hear JJ's name. We didn't hear JJ's name.
No, I love JJ, don't get me wrong. But you got to put an asterisk by that because I didn't have a three.
Yeah,
There you go. That's true. That is true. What does it feel like for you when you hear all those names that came after you and you think, we were on that team, and Jeff kind of hit on this, we were on that team that laid the foundation for all these players to then come in. And that has to be an incredible feeling for you.
No, absolutely. I came at a time where who would have known it would have led me to this?
Yeah.
I'm here, in large part because of that opportunity, and I always thank Coach and Duke for that. When you look at it, we didn't know what we were getting ourselves into. We're just cocky young freshmen, and we're coming in, and, we want to turn the program around and, take it to new heights. But, there's a process, and there was some growing pains in getting that done, as you guys remember. And but, looking back on it now, and just so proud of what we were able to accomplish as a group. Like I said, I knew I didn't do it alone, and I know they feel the same way. It took a team effort to accomplish that. To go from 11-17 to 37-3 in 4 years.
Crazy. Yep, that is.
Are you kidding me?
Well, and the players you were playing against, too. You got Michael Jordan in the league. You got some dudes that are.
And they're not leaving.
Yeah.
They're like, Mike had a really good freshman, hit the game winner. He's out.
No, he's sticking around for us next year.
You look at that, all the guys, Ralph Sampson, on and on and on. So it was an amazing time, and I wouldn't trade mine. I've said this before, I wouldn't trade my time at Duke University for anyone else's time. I think being a part of it that early and kind of laying a foundation, it was a special moment for all of us, and I'll love it for the rest of my life.
Give me the one time when Coach really jumped your you-know-what. Maybe as a freshman, there had to be something, right? Even though, like.
No, absolutely. Yeah, I remember.
You remember?
Well.
Do you remember it? Go ahead.
I'm scarred. We were playing against, Georgia Tech, and they had a great team back then as well. Bobby Crimmins was an amazing coach. You had guys like Mark Price, John Sally, some terrific players. And he jumped me good, before that game, because of the matchups. So he kind of challenged me, to guard Mark Price. Mark Price, the point guard.
He's
at
shooting.
the time for them. Oh, and great player. I mean, I think people found that to be more true when he went to the pros than even in college. He ended up being an all-star and all of that. And so he challenged me really hard to, to take that matchup, and I did, but I never forgot that, because like I said, those words still ring in my head to this day. But you know what? It was for a good reason.
Yep.
He wanted me to step up and be at my best, and I was.
Well, I feel like Kay, Calhoun, like some of these coaches, these Hall of Fame coaches, right? As a young player, you don't like them, right? I mean, you don't understand what they're trying to do and how hard they're trying to coach you, and then it probably takes for you to be gone for a while and then understand, okay, you know what? They were just looking out for the best for me.
Absolutely. You understand that, and definitely no college player understands that. If it is, he's a very mature college player.
Right.
And so, yeah, you grow through it. As you get older, you realize, why some of those things occurred, and you understand that it was for the best for you and for the best for your team.
I mean, Hummel still looks at Painter and has nightmares. Those 3.5-hour practices.
That is true.
Listen,
That is
I'm not
true.
even sure they ended at 3.5.
Oh, we practiced forever, and it was no offense.
Painter broke every rule in the books, practice-wise.
We used all the allowable time. I will say that. All the allowable time.
Well, listen, Johnny, we really appreciate you coming here, stopping by. Congrats.
Yes.
Well-deserved. And, again, what you did for the Duke program, for college, and honestly, as much as anything, how you handle yourself as a person, as a human being, your character, everything like that, man. There aren't too many people I can say this about. Like, I've never, ever, ever heard a bad word about you, ever, from anybody. And that's amazing. So
I know, and you talk to a lot of people.
I do talk to a lot of people. Listen, I've heard a lot of bad words about Dauster. I know he's heard them about me. Hummel, he's a little more well-liked than us. So anyway, listen, we appreciate you coming by, stopping by, and congrats again, all right?
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Johnny.
Coach. Good to see you.
Big news. The Almanac is officially back. The most exhaustive and comprehensive guide to the 2023-24 college basketball season is available for pre-order now. If you go to cbbalmanac.com, link is in the description below, you can pre-order for just $15.99 or 20% off the sticker price. The format is going to be a little bit different this season. Instead of an 850-page PDF, you'll be getting access to the full site with league-by-league PDFs available for download. The preview will be live on September 20th, so you have until then to be able to get your pre-orders in. So for insight for all 362 Division I teams, from their head coaches and the experts that cover them, make sure you hit that link. Our partner for today's episode is Athletic Greens. I started taking AG1 during the college basketball season, and I loved the impact that it had on my energy levels. I'm a big coffee in the morning guy, but by the time that the afternoon would hit, I needed another boost. AG1 helped me tremendously, especially on those days when I didn't want to get up off the couch and go hit the gym. Their tagline is AG1 is comprehensive health and the power of habit in one. And man, that could not be more true. It's nearly impossible to eat and drink in a healthy manner in the month of February and the month of March when you are in my business. And AG1 was exactly the supplement that I needed to improve my gut health and cover my nutritional basis for the day. I've continued that into April. I've continued that into May, and I'm going to continue that the rest of the summer. All I have to do is mix a scoop of AG1 with some water, or maybe add it into a smoothie, and I'm ready to go. Do it after lunch, and you'll be ready to go for the rest of the day. If a comprehensive solution is what you need from your supplement routine, then Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Go to athleticgreens.com/field6. The Field of 68's coverage of the College Basketball Hall of Fame induction ceremony here in Chicago in what Robbie Hummel lovingly refers to as the West Loop. I got Jeff Goodman here. I got Hummel. My name is Rob Dauster, and I'm thrilled to be joined now by Herb McGee. And Herb, I got a little bit of your resume written down here. 1,144 career wins. You ended as the winningest NCAA Division II men's coach of all time, the second winningest coach across all divisions. 54 years at Philadelphia Textile / Philadelphia University / Thomas Jefferson University.
Exactly.
Are there any other names? Did I miss any names?
No, I think in a couple of years there might be, but I'm long already. So, no, it's been an exciting time.
What does it mean to be here with the
you
likes
know,
of
just
Johnny
anytime
Dawkins?
you're honored by your own sport. I was fortunate enough to go into the Naismith Hall of Fame in 2011, and that was an exciting time for the whole family, including me. But this is my sport, college basketball. As you well know, Naismith incorporates all basketball, but this is specifically college basketball. And then to go in with these 4 other guys is just incredible. And, you know, it's really an honor.
So my big question, and I think everybody probably want to know it, looking at kind of what you've done. Why didn't you ever leave? You had to have opportunities.
I did.
So take me through kind of some of the opportunities and why you chose to stay at.
Well, I had decided early on that I wanted to be a basketball coach. And when I got the job out of college as an assistant there, and then they hired me a few years later, I felt an allegiance to the school. And then we had some success, and I was interviewing and offered some jobs. And I just enjoyed so much where I was, and also enjoyed where I lived. So I wasn't ready to uproot and move to Connecticut or down to Miami or someplace that would change the whole scene of where my family is going to be raised. So, and all of a sudden, 20 years becomes 30, 30, 40, and then you're done.
Yeah,
now you're there.
Your window has passed, right?
Before you know it, it's 50 years, and then retirement comes. So I have no regrets.
You don't?
No,
None?
Not at all. This is possible because of my longevity at the school. The Naismith Award was possible because of it. And I don't know if I had gone. When I was inducted into the Naismith, each time you get a person gets inducted, they have a presenter. And Jack Ramsey, the longtime coach at St. Joe's and the Portland Trailblazers, he was my presenter. So afterwards, I said to Jack, Jack, if you had recruited me, I would have gone to St. Joe's instead of Textile, and maybe I could have coached St. Joe's. He said, that's true, Herb, maybe you could have, but not for 45 years.
Right.
So I said, yeah, it makes sense. So I have no regrets. I did what I did, and I'm very happy with it.
Coach, the longevity in your coaching career is amazing, but as a player, you scored over 2,200 points playing the game. What type of player were you, and I guess maybe describe your offensive game?
My offensive game was strictly shooting.
Robbie, too.
So I understand. When I got to school, my coach, Bucky Harris, said, which I have used this line before, if you ever pass up an open shot, I'm taking you out of the game.
Love that.
And I said, that's fine. That's fine. So I given a green light for the 4 years that I was there, and I used it. So I enjoyed playing there, and he was a great coach, and we had great success.
Did you ever get taken out for passing up an open shot?
No, not even close.
So you were drafted with the 62nd overall pick by the Celtics.
Right.
I'm a Boston guy. But you chose to go into coaching.
Here's what happened.
Why? Yeah.
Here's what happened. I used this as an excuse.
Okay.
Right before the tryouts for the Celtics, I broke these two fingers on my right hand, my shooting hand. And there was no reason for me to go to camp without my right hand. That's the only.
Shoot.
Exactly.
Couldn't pass.
I didn't go, and then by that time, I was offered the job as an assistant. And this is hard to believe. If I had made the Celtics, I would have made the same amount of money that I was as an assistant coach at Texas.
Which was? Do you remember?
$5,000. So at the time, the NBA was paying nothing.
Right.
To the tune that Paul Arizin, one of the great players of all time, did not go to San Francisco when the Warriors were sold to San Francisco because he couldn't afford to go. Wow. So I have no regrets. Plus, the real reason is Bob Cousy, Bill Sharman, Sam Jones, Casey Jones, and John Havlicek.
Pretty good team.
Yeah, those five guys, all of them were in the Hall of Fame. So I made the right decision.
Yeah.
You
You
garnered.
are too.
Go ahead, Rob. Sorry.
Well, you are, too.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, you are, too.
You've garnered the nickname as the shot doctor.
Right.
What do you think is the most important thing to being a high-level shooter?
You have to have a couple things. Number one, the player that you're teaching has to agree that he needs help or she needs help. If it's somebody, because I have done a couple guys in the NBA, I won't mention their names, where their agent called me and said, Coach, we need you to help, and he named the player. And I said I'd be more than happy to. Here's the price. So I went up, worked with the guy. You could tell after 5 minutes that he wasn't that interested. So I spent some time with him. I did what I could. So that's the first thing. Second thing is the person doing the teaching has to know what they're doing, and I think I do. The third thing is, are you willing to practice? Are you willing to practice? And then are you willing to accept the instruction you're being given? So, and it's my belief that anybody can improve their shooting if they have those four things.
Is there anything mechanically that you think is essential to being a good shooter?
I do. I think it's very important for your grip, but with the ball in your hands a certain way, which is the way I teach. And then I think maybe the most important thing is to finishing your stroke. Watch how many times you're watching a game and a guy at the foul line might make the first but miss the second because they're backpedaling down the court. So, and the reason is they're not completing the shot.
Who's the greatest shooter you ever worked with?
That's a great question. Probably myself.
I love that answer.
Good answer.
So,
That is tremendous.
but I would say over and above that, I tell you, a guy that impressed me as a guy who was willing to learn and got much better is a fellow who played in the NBA for the Houston team, Malik Rose.
Oh, yeah, he did get better because he couldn't shoot at all
No.
coming out of Drexel.
No, he came out of Drexel. He couldn't shoot, and he called me, said, Coach, I'm down here with David Robinson and Tim Duncan. I can't get in the game. They're going to make me a small forward. I need to work on my shot. So he came up, and we spent a whole summer in the gym, and he got better. Him and Tim McCormick, when he played with the Nets, he was with the Sixers for a while, and he got better because they came through the four things: willing to learn, paying attention, and willing to practice.
Did you work with Barkley?
Yes, I did.
How long?
His attention span's about 30 seconds. About the same amount of time you get when you're trying
As
to
good a guy, though, as you will ever meet, right?
Time.
Of all time.
Of all time.
I know.
Telling the story today, there's a golf outing that they run, my daughter runs, and it's the Herb McGee Golf Outing. And we try to raise money for the school and different charities. And Charles played last year. And people come out of the golf course, out of the kitchen, the guy mowing the lawns, this probably parking your car, and he just spends time with every single one of them. There's nobody better.
It's amazing, isn't it?
He's amazing. Clark Kellogg today, I was talking to Clark Kellogg today at the luncheon, and he said the same exact thing. Yeah. And that's the way he is. He's just that way. Yeah. My granddaughter rode with him the whole 18 holes last year. And when he was leaving, he said, you go to the Eagles game this year? And she said, I'm coming out with some friends. Here, give me your phone. He put his phone in there. He said, you call me the day you land and come to the house. So she did. And cool. She took her friends over, including one kid who said, I think I'll stay back and watch the Phillies game. Where are you going? She said, we're going to Charles Barkley's house. He said, let me get a shower. So off they go, and he treated them the whole night. That's the way he is.
What is it about Philadelphia basketball? The city, the culture there, the colleges there, the high schools there. What makes it special?
Well, I'm not sure it's that as special as it used to be. At one time, it were the coaches. Jack Ramsey, Harry Litwack, Tom Gola. I mean, those guys, they got the jobs and they stayed there. And then in today's college basketball, and you guys know all this, today's college basketball, because of the NIL and the portal, there are some guys that play at 4 different schools in 4 years. But that never happened back in the day. So college basketball in Philadelphia is fair right now. When Jay left Villanova, he left a void there. And I think they'll get better because I think he's a good coach, Kyle Neptune. But the other teams in the city aren't very good. And back in the day, there was always 2 or 3 of them were in their top 20 and getting draft picks every
Even
single
LaSalle
year.
was great, right?
Exactly,
With Lionel
sure.
Simmons.
Absolutely.
And like you said, I mean, Drexel had
Absolutely.
players.
Absolutely. And it's the NIL, and, you know, it's unbelievable the amount of money that guys are making.
How much basketball do you watch in retirement? Do you watch a lot of pro? Do you watch college? Do you watch high school?
I will watch the Sixers play. I don't watch the whole game, but I'll watch the Sixers play, and I'll watch the Big 5 teams because those guys that coach the Big 5 teams are my friends.
Yep.
2 of the guys started their careers with me, Steve
cool.
Donahue at Penn and Billy Lang at St. Joe's. So their first job was as my assistant. So I watch their teams. I've been to their practices. And, you know, I still follow, and our own team at Thomas Jefferson.
What are your thoughts on analytics, on the threes and the layups? Do you agree with it? Are you against it?
No, I think the way the game is played depends on who you have and the way you should play. I mean, just to shoot a 3, I know a lot of guys, they do the analytics that if you make X number of 3s as opposed to 2s, it's much better. And, you know, I can see that, but that's not the way I coach. And if I was still coaching, I wouldn't coach that way.
Herb, we appreciate you
problem.
coming by.
My
Congratulations. Heck of a career, heck of an honor.
I think.
And really, really good getting a chance to spend some time with you.
I appreciate it.
Congratulations,
Thank
man.
you.
Yeah, thanks, Coach.
All right. My problem. No problem.
Big news. The Almanac is officially back. The most exhaustive and comprehensive guide to the 2023-24 college basketball season is available for pre-order now. If you go to cbbalmanac.com, link is in the description below, you can pre-order for just $15.99 or 20% off the sticker price. The format is going to be a little bit different this season. Instead of an 850-page PDF, you'll be getting access to the full site with league-by-league PDFs available for download. The preview will be live on September 20th, so you have until then to be able to get your pre-orders in. So for insight for all 362 Division I teams from their head coaches and the experts that cover them, make sure you hit that link. Our partner for today's episode is Athletic Greens. I started taking AG1 during the college basketball season, and I loved the impact that it had on my energy levels. I'm a big coffee in the morning guy, but by the time that the afternoon would hit, I needed another boost. AG1 helped me tremendously, especially on those days when I didn't want to get up off the couch and go hit the gym. Their tagline is AG1 is comprehensive health and the power of habit in one. And man, that could not be more true. It's nearly impossible to eat and drink in a healthy manner in the month of February and the month of March when you are in my business. And AG1 was exactly the supplement that I needed to improve my gut health and cover my nutritional basis for the day. I've continued that into April. I've continued that into May, and I'm going to continue that the rest of the summer. All I have to do is mix a scoop of AG1 with some water or maybe add it into a smoothie, and I'm ready to go. Do it after lunch, and you'll be ready to go for the rest of the day. If a comprehensive solution is what you need from your supplement routine, then Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Go to athleticgreens.com/field68. That's Field 68 FIELD, the number 6, the number 8, and you can get yours now. So check it out and help support this show. Thanks. Now let me welcome on to the Field of 68, none other than Coach K. Coach, you're already a member of the College Basketball Hall of Fame, but you're being honored tonight, and you're being honored alongside one of your first great players in Johnny Dawkins. What does it mean to you to be here in Chicago for this moment?
The special thing is to be here with Johnny and Tom Krzyzewski, who did so much for the game. We started the Hall of Fame in 2006. There was no College Basketball Hall of Fame, and we had the idea to do it. And everyone who was in the Naismith Hall of Fame became part of the founding class. So I'm in the Hall of Fame, but at different years, people who were in that founding class, some of them are also inducted. They make a personal thing. And when I knew Johnny was going to be in, I said, that'd be a good time to do it. It'll be a special moment because we wouldn't have had a program without Johnny Dawkins.
You're a year and a half now into retirement.
Right.
How's it been? I mean,
Yeah.
I want to know what a day in the life of Mike Krzyzewski is these days.
Well, there's no recruiting, no transfer portal, and there's no NIL. Whether it's good or bad, it's not part of my life.
Yeah.
No, I have a lifetime contract at Duke. I have my same office staff, and I'm an ambassador for the school. So basically, I'm doing a lot of the things I did as a coach for the university, except I don't coach or recruit. I still have a Sirius XM show. I'm a professor at our Fuqua School of Business, and we just had a summit where we bring 40 leaders in, and that's cool. And I do advising for the NBA, and that's been interesting. So all 10 of our grandchildren live within 10 minutes of us.
That's
so,
great.
Really, I've loved it. I haven't. I miss the relationships that you have with the players and your staff, but I don't miss coaching. I mean, I coached for 47 years and the U.S. team 11 years. That's a lot of coaching.
You got it out of your system.
Yeah, well, and I loved it. And so when I say I don't miss it, doesn't mean, boy, I hated it. I loved it. I mean, I still love the game immensely, but I don't want to do that other stuff anymore.
You mentioned the transfer portal. You mentioned NIL.
Right.
Now that you kind of can sit back and have a 360 view of it, what's your take on the state of college basketball where it is right now?
Well, it's not led. So any organization that's not led has a chance. It will not chance. It's going to go in a lot of different directions, and it have a lot of different views of it and what it means, what to do. There's no leadership, and then with all the conferences changing, and that, I mean, the world has really changed in these last 2 years, and it begs for leadership, and we used to have it from the conference commissioners, but they're all competing against one another. So there's not solidarity, and for this there has to be common ground. Like, who can explain NIL? A lot of people can explain it, but you'd have different explanations. And there should be one explanation, and that we should have it. Obviously, there should be one
consistency.
And where the three of us represent three different institutions or conferences, we should all know that that's what you're allowed to do, and then do it to the very best of your ability. But it's a free market right now. In a free market, there's also free interpretation. So in order to bring this back in, it's going to be very difficult, because how are you going to tell people that they can't do what they've been doing?
Could you imagine dealing with it right now? I mean, again, Shire's young, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's all he's going to know for the most part now for his career. But how much do you think that has affected already some guys getting out like Jay Wright? And how much will it affect, some of these coaches that are maybe, even in their 50s saying, you know what, I don't want to coach anymore. I don't love the way this game is going.
Well, either that or, in more than half my career, I got paid at a rate that I never thought I'd get paid. But how much is it worth for you to do that? I think what's happened also is that coaches have become very territorial. They're looking at their program, not even a conference. They're looking, and that's not it's not fun, and like when you're working hard. Like, look, I mean, kids are getting a lot of money, and it's not transparent. In other words, in the NBA, you know what every player is making. Now, you don't know what they're getting from Nike or from whatever, commercial asset.
But you know their salary.
Yeah, and so I know the NCAA has said from the future they want something that's transparent, the same contract, not necessarily the same numbers, but the same. Are you going to be able to do that? I don't know if you're going to be able to do that.
If they're not employees, right?
Yeah, and but what I'm saying is, again, you have your program, I have mine. I don't know what your players are getting,
right?
And you don't know what my players are getting, and the fans don't know it. It'll be interesting. It's kind of cool now, like this guy, and we got this, but eventually, the common people who support you will want to know that stuff. And it's pretty much pay for play right now, and they don't want to say that, but it is.
Yeah.
I mean, it is.
Big news. The Almanac is officially back. The most exhaustive and comprehensive guide to the 2023-24 college basketball season is available for pre-order now. If you go to cbbalmanac.com, link is in the description below, you can pre-order for just $15.99 or 20% off the sticker price. The format is going to be a little bit different this season. Instead of an 850-page PDF, you'll be getting access to the full site with league-by-league PDFs available for download. The preview will be live on September 20th. So you have until then to be able to get your pre-orders in. So for insight for all 362 Division I teams from their head coaches and the experts that cover them, make sure you hit that link. Our partner for today's episode is Athletic Greens. I started taking AG1 during the college basketball season, and I loved the impact that it had on my energy levels. I'm a big coffee in the morning guy, but by the time that the afternoon would hit, I needed another boost. AG1 helped me tremendously, especially on those days when I didn't want to get up off the couch and go hit the gym. Their tagline is AG1 is comprehensive health and the power of habit in one. And man, that could not be more true. It's nearly impossible to eat and drink in a healthy manner in the month of February and the month of March when you are in my business. And AG1 was exactly the supplement that I needed to improve my gut health and cover my nutritional basis for the day. I've continued that into April. I've continued that into May, and I'm going to continue that the rest of the summer. All I have to do is mix a scoop of AG1 with some water or maybe add it into a smoothie, and I'm ready to go. Do it after lunch, and you'll be ready to go for the rest of the day. If a comprehensive solution is what you need from your supplement routine, then Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Go to athleticgreens.com/field68. That's Field 68 FIELD, the number 6, the number 8, and you can get yours now. So check it out and help support this show. Thanks. Welcome back to the Field of 68's live coverage of the College Basketball Hall of Fame induction ceremony, and I am thrilled that we are now joined by arguably the greatest walk-on in the history of college basketball, none other than Sean Farnham, Robbie Hummel's older brother. Sean, appreciate you being here.
You know, I mean, I'm just so glad to see my stepbrother again.
My mentor
I missed
here.
you, buddy. It's so great to see you.
It's good to see you.
But no, you know what? This is a great event. It's a great night. This setting is unbelievable. Chicago is the appropriate place, especially for a class like we're inducting here tonight. And it's just great to celebrate college basketball. It's been a crazy offseason. So might as well celebrate what we got right now.
Goodman is a little bit upset right now because you are sitting next to his best friend over here.
Well, I'm a little upset with Goodman.
Yeah, here we go.
You know,
So am
I showed up
I am
today.
too, but
I
you
showed up
first.
today, and I was like, "Hey, where's John? Where's my guy?" And they're like, "Well, Farnham, it's wedding week." And I was like, "Oh yeah, big wedding week. Oh, that's right, it's wedding week." I said, "I didn't get the invite. I would have gotten." He goes, "Really?" Goodman got the invite and declined. Like, what is going on with that?
It's rude.
Listen,
I'll be there. I'll be there on
You'll be
Friday.
there. You look great, though. I mean, look at
first
the
of
hair
all,
and everything. A very Steve Lavin, 1998.
Yeah, I like that.
I like it.
Look up
I'm
top.
good with that.
I like
I'm good
that.
with that.
yeah, it is a little slick
I'm
back.
good with
Listen,
that.
it's my mother's birthday.
All right.
You know what? Parents are getting a little bit older.
I get it.
You got to you got to be there for
If
your
he's had
folks.
another post with you and your daughter in Indiana, though, I would have been like, come
That'll
on,
be
let her
next
go.
week.
Please
That'll be
let her go to
next
school.
week. No,
Let her
she'll-
just be a normal student. Come on.
I know. Well, you get some news, right?
Yeah,
your daughter?
my daughter
What do
committed
we got?
yesterday. So she committed to Rutgers. Evidently,
Big
Rutgers.
Ten.
Yeah.
Rutgers.
So
She's going all the way
she's
to
going
Rutgers.
Jersey, baby. So listen,
Wow.
It's amazing because you got obviously Ace Bailey, Dylan Harper. Look like they're going to Rutgers. Peichel's got it rolling.
Yeah.
But the Scarlet Knights women's soccer team, actually goalkeeper like Casey Murphy, who's the women's national team goalkeeper, went to Rutgers. Saskia Weber went to Rutgers. Carly Lloyd, a legend with the U.S. national team, went to Rutgers. Their goalkeeper last year, Megan, is playing down in is actually playing in Chicago, playing with the Red Stars right now. So a great soccer tradition, and my daughter committed to Rutgers, and if you would have told me like 8 months ago that my daughter would be going to Rutgers, I'd be like, what are you talking about? But when she went on the trip, she felt like home. The facilities are unbelievable. The coaching staff's off the charts good. And it's the Big Ten.
How far
I was
is
gonna say, she'll get
Bristol?
2 games a year back in
Bristol
LA.
to Rutgers.
It doesn't matter because if I'm going back to studio, I'm flying in on Tuesday night. I'm going to have dinner with my daughter every single Tuesday, and then I'll drive up to Bristol after traffic dies down from New York City. It'll be
Not
great.
too bad.
What's it like, because you went through it as a student athlete, to do it as a parent and watch your kid get recruited and watch your kid play really high-level athletics at the high school level?
It's crazy because it's so different now. I mean, you go on these trips, and we went to some really big universities. So we went to SEC, went to a former Pac-12 school that's going to soon to be moving. We went to one up in Northern California that doesn't know where they're still at, and then we went to Rutgers, and each one of them, their approach was completely different. The phone calls completely different. And then the discussion points that you have on campus while you're there, all of a sudden start circling around it's no longer just like, hey, it's a lot of mental health stuff being discussed. It's a lot of here's our training facility, our cryo chambers, and then it's there's a guy over there that's, our compliance director in charge of NIL. You go talk to them, but we don't have any conversation with this, and you go, oh, use influencer. It's a great way to get NIL money. I'm like, my daughter's 16.
Well, and when we were playing, it was where's the ice so we
can
wrap
16,
it on our knees?
You know what my cryo chamber was? A little tiny paper Dixie cup that they filled up with water and froze. And I just circularly, took it on my knee and just went like this until it melted.
Hey, don't lie, Farnham. We know you were the water boy and you had to fill up that cup yourself.
What'd you say?
We know you were the water boy. You had to fill up that cup yourself.
That was Tony Luffman from the NHL Network. He was my guy. Luffman, where you at? It was, but great memories to be able to go and experience with my daughter. And now they do these photo shoots everywhere.
Dude, those are insane.
How
involved are you?
Oh, she brought me in on every single one of them.
We got to see some of these photos.
Go on her Instagram, and she's got the last picture up is me with my daughter laughing and pointing at the Rutgers sign and all this other stuff. It's just nuts, but I'm really proud of her. My son's walking on at Oregon this year.
Awesome.
Dana Altman's team obviously got a lot of good freshmen coming in with Jackson Shellstead, Mookie Cook, KJ Evans. Two of those guys, McDonald's All-American. I thought Jackson Shellstead probably should have been a McDonald's All-American. But then some transfers, and look, 20 wins every single year for Dana Altman.
Yeah.
Probably continues again this year. But really excited for my son to have a chance to walk on there. He spent his first 4 weeks up at U of O and just had a great time. Got an A in his summer school class, which made mom and dad really happy. He'll go back up there on Tuesday and get ready to go for the year.
All right, so you went to UCLA, I went to Arizona.
Yep.
That rivalry is dead.
Dead.
Are you as sour on all this crap?
Sad.
This sucks.
I'm sad.
Realignment sucks.
I'm sad because the simple aspect is just take football out of the equation, make football make football like the English Premier League, but like the NFL.
Separate. Yeah.
Right? So you have your 3 divisions here, so a total of 6 divisions at the top. You could have 10 teams in each one, have top 60 teams there, and make that your championship league, right? Where you play for the playoffs to win the national championship. The other ones play in the bowls. And if you finish first place in the second tier, then you get to move up. And if you're the bottom 6 teams, the worst team in each one of those the divisions, you go down. And then let all the other sports just exist and do what they've done previously. This landscape has dramatically shifted rivalries and changed so much that it's really hard to digest, especially if you're living out west. If you're on the East Coast right now, you're like, I don't see what the big problem is. We got better teams coming, and it's great. But if you're a Pac-12 guy, like I was,
Yeah.
the conference is gone. I'm making a joke about it in the open tonight of the Hall of Fame.
Gone.
It's gone. Okay? It does not exist. And I remember going to Stanford and the bouncing floor with Mike Montgomery's teams that were number 1 in the country in the late 90s. Going up to Matt Court at Oregon and how it was built like the old Boston Garden, how great that was. McHale Center with the old guy that would do the spell out at center court as he's taking off clothes, which was just kind of disturbing.
Man or something,
yeah.
whatever the hell he was. Yeah.
But it was magical, and it was what made it great. Now, that's my heart, and that's my mind of being a college basketball enthusiast now for, over 2 decades in the broadcasting world, but, really about 25, almost 30 years now as a player, and then into broadcasting. But then I also think about this. We're trying to cut through, right? We have to cut through. Big 10, SEC, ACC, Big 12. We have to cut through to try to get our audience to pay attention to us. Well, if you're telling me on a Monday night in the Big 12, I can get Kansas, Arizona. And on Tuesday, I can get Baylor at Colorado. And on Thursday, I can get Houston at Iowa State.
Pretty good.
I'm watching.
Yeah, of course you are.
Okay, and if you're looking at the Big
Ten,
but if you're looking at the Big Ten and you're like, hey, tell me on a Thursday I got UCLA at IU. Tell me all the old video you're going to pull out for that game. And then on Saturday, you've got UCLA at Michigan. People will care. And so if we can cut through a little bit, and it's somehow 5 years from now, we retrospectively look back on it and say, I don't like how we got here, but the fact that we got here actually helped men's college basketball cut through a little bit more.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Then I'll be okay with it.
It's going to be fascinating to me to see how regular season titles now are valued. Because you've got 18 teams in the league, so there's no double round robin. You're playing most teams once. And on top of that, does UCLA, now the players and the coaches will care, but do the fans, do they care when they're a Big Ten champion in 3 years?
They will.
The same,
not as much
but it's like
right
the
away. But
tradition of it
Hold on,
is
did
so.
they really care the last like
Pac-12
15
title.
years about Pac-12
I just think
titles?
it's going to be
I
so
don't-
weird
that's never been the
initially.
standard at
The
UCLA.
problem with college
true.
basketball is nobody really cares about the regular season title if you're not in one of those double round robins. Matters in the Big 12, matters in the Big East. The ACC doesn't even count their regular season champion as their league champion.
Well,
Which is
Big
I
12
have
it
an
mattered.
issue with
Big
that.
12 it also mattered
dumb.
because Kansas, it mattered to those fans, and then if you beat Kansas,
When they won it so much
mattered.
that it was,
Okay,
it
but,
was like
but
slaying
let's,
Goliath.
how often do we have the conversation? The Big Ten hasn't won a national championship since 2000. The Pac-12 hasn't won one since 1997. If we want to go back there with Simon Says national champions for Arizona, but we judge everything in college basketball is essentially judged with who wins the national championship. The Big 12 has been the best conference in college basketball, and realistically, they can say that because of the national championships that they win year in and year out. Now, obviously, UConn had a great run. I don't think Danny Hurley's team is going to stop anytime soon. I think they're going to continue to load up. But you look at the Big Ten, and you can even make an argument that if 2020's NCAA tournament happens, they probably win an NCAA tournament that year as well.
Yeah.
I mean, so you're judged on how you finish. Your conference is judged how you finish. And I think as we evolve as a sport in this new landscape and we're trying to figure out our own way, that becomes more essential.
All right, last one I have for you is UCLA. Have you seen these international guys at all yet? What do
No,
you know? How
I'm
shocked are you that Mick Cronin has gone with like the Tommy Lloyd approach now?
Why would you
and
go
all
international in this landscape? Tell me.
I know why. I talked to Mick of why. And one of the things he said, well, one of the things is they're more coachable. Another one is NIL might not mean as much to them. But another one he said, which I found fascinating, was all the international guys, they know Los Angeles. They want to come to L.A.
Yeah.
It's a sales pitch that, guys around here probably aren't, it doesn't mean as much to them. But if you tell a kid from
Let's also remember,
Croatia,
though, LA has a ton of talent, so it's not like he's in a deserted desert that doesn't have talent in Southern California.
Well, that's why I'm surprised.
So, but with the talent that he has brought in individually, when you watch all of these guys play, the kid from Spain, the 7'3" guy, is point center. Like he can really pass the ball like a Jokic type center. Okay, he can't shoot it like him, but he can really pass it, so you can facilitate your offense through him. That's a different dynamic, right, than what UCLA's had, and you can lift the defense a little bit and create space for a Dembona to maybe be a little bit more effective as a scorer around the basket. I think the individual pieces are great. They've just been on a trip overseas. I'm going to see them when they come back in September and they start their workouts, get going again. That's when I'm going to go see them, because I wanted to see this group gelled a little bit and not make a snapshot judgment when you've got guys literally getting off the plane, putting on a uniform for the first time, and have no idea what Mick wants, in particular at the defensive end of the floor. Offensively, I don't worry about any of these kids. There's some guys that can just flat out fill it up and go. Yep. But can they play the defense that Mick Cronin wants them to do on a possession-by-possession basis? Because the teams that defend the way Mick wants, they go deep.
There's going to be a lot of words that these kids have never heard before come out of Mick Cronin's mouth.
I want to be a fly on the wall the
goodness.
first time he flips out into practice and starts cussing. All the kids are like, what language is this? What is he saying?
They're like, is this normal? Yeah, it is here. But, I mean, I think that the upside is they could be really special. They could be really, really good. But I think it's to be determined how good they could be based on that, not based on offensive talent.
All right, well, listen, we appreciate you joining us. We're
problem.
looking forward to the jokes.
Very few jokes
Take it
tonight.
easy on the Pac-12.
It's a Hall of Fame event, so you got to be a little bit more straight-laced.
I have one more question for you, okay, before we go to break. You're hosting this shindig tonight, right? Yep. So you have a little bit of influence in ABC. What can we do to get Robbie Hummel into the College Basketball Hall of Fame? How do we make this happen?
What would I be?
How much money do we have to pay? Who can we pay?
Yeah, we got to make it happen. Matt Painter won't build him a statue. We got to get some kind of award to honor this year.
Do you see the ages of everybody that's being inducted here tonight? I mean, it looks like
he's got to wait.
I got to call games for the next 40 years.
He might not have that hair still by the time that he gets his chance to do it.
Probably not.
I mean, he was the first, 6-year player in college basketball history?
I only played
7?
5.
A man before his time.
8 years?
right.
A man before his
well
time.
ahead of his time.
Unbelievable. He was the first guy to use COVID, and the COVID
No, I only played 5 years. I was 5 years at Purdue.
No, but look, we all know it because we watched him. And I told him this when I saw him at the Final Four, and we did the 3x3U together.
I had a great time doing it.
Unbelievable talent. at Purdue and vastly underrated and under-remembered by a lot of people nationally.
That's right.
And I don't say that just to build him up, but I'll collect the $20 later.
Yeah,
but
grab this one.
you know, it is true. Like, you go back and you go watch the films of Robbie and how hard he played. I mean, we're honoring Tyler tonight, and obviously he's got a record of ACC all-time leading scorer that probably is never going to get beat, because if you score that many points, you're probably leaving the league right away. But what he was able to accomplish, how hard he played, the heart and soul, and not just the numbers. The numbers are easy to see with Robbie, but how hard and what he meant as a leader, as a competitor to Purdue.
This is enough
was
good
fun to
things
watch.
about Hummel.
Put him in the hall. Put him in the hall. We need him there.
His ego is big enough already. Look, he's taking care of it. Look at, oh, wow, he's got a $100 bill.
No, I don't even have those in
Man.
my wallet. That must be good. The NIL money from Purdue is still coming through, baby.
Max for something.
Right
That's why I
there.
have this.
See that guy? There he is.
Listen, Sean, always a pleasure, man. Thanks for hanging out
Good
with
talking
us.
to you.
Congrats to your daughter, man.
Thank you.
That's
Have a good
awesome.
night.
Yeah, congrats.
Big news. The Almanac is officially back. The most exhaustive and comprehensive guide to the 2023-24 college basketball season is available for pre-order now. If you go to cbbalmanac.com, link is in the description below, you can pre-order for just $15.99 or 20% off the sticker price. The format is going to be a little bit different this season. Instead of an 850-page PDF, you'll be getting access to the full site with league-by-league PDFs available for download. The preview will be live on September 20th, so you have until then to be able to get your pre-orders in. So for insight for all 362 Division I teams, from their head coaches and the experts that cover them, make sure you hit that link. Our partner for today's episode is Athletic Greens. I started taking AG1 during the college basketball season, and I loved the impact that it had on my energy levels. I'm a big coffee in the morning guy, but by the time that the afternoon would hit, I needed another boost. AG1 helped me tremendously, especially on those days when I didn't want to get up off the couch and go hit the gym. Their tagline is AG1 is comprehensive health and the power of habit in one. And man, that could not be more true. It's nearly impossible to eat and drink in a healthy manner in the month of February and the month of March when you are in my business. And AG1 was exactly the supplement that I needed to improve my gut health and cover my nutritional basis for the day. I've continued that into April. I've continued that into May, and I'm going to continue that the rest of the summer. All I have to do is mix a scoop of AG1 with some water, or maybe add it into a smoothie, and I'm ready to go. Do it after lunch, and you'll be ready to go for the rest of the day. If a comprehensive solution is what you need from your supplement routine, then Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Go to athleticgreens.com/field68. That's Field 68, FIELD, the number 6, the number 8, and you can get yours now. So check it out and help support this show. Thanks. Welcome back. Field of 68's coverage here at the College Basketball Hall of Fame induction ceremony. We are inducting Matt Painter into the College Basketball Hall of Fame. Is that what we're doing here, Paint?
No.
Not yet.
So we just heard, I know you couldn't hear, but we just heard an impassioned plea from Sean Farnham on why Robbie Hummel needs to get into the College Basketball Hall of
We
Fame.
need to give this up because I should not be
we
in the
can't
college
get a
basketball.
statue. We can't get him in the
Right.
college. Like,
We're still looking for the statue. Like, we're not giving up.
We're not giving up?
But
These
he, like,
two
on all
morons.
seriousness, I know you bust him up, but he will be in the College Basketball Hall of Fame. And so, like, if you look at, he's the only guy that we've had. Maybe Joe Barry Carroll's done it. Maybe Rick Mount's done it.
Joe
That's
Barry
been a
Carroll.
3-time first-team All-Conference guy. So he's the only guy since I've been there.
he
that's
played
been
8 years.
Yeah,
I mean, the
yeah.
percentages.
Yeah. Law of averages, it helps when you play 8 years. So. But they won't. Hey, by the time he goes in when he's 75, they won't know that.
Can you give me your favorite story of, like, in a practice of Hummel when you had to really – do you remember, like, when you had to really get into him on something?
It
Like, he
wasn't a
remembers.
practice. It kind of shows you, like, guys that are really good players, the reason they're good is that they don't think that they're that good. Like, I know that kind of – I wasn't a good player, so that doesn't resonate with me. But, like, he has our fastest time in the mile. So he ran a 4:46 mile. Go out and run one tomorrow and come back and tell me what you have, okay? But in his second year, probably in his first year, he probably ran like a 5:02 or something, or a 4:58, or something pedestrian, and which would have been the best too. But he went and ran the mile the day before at his high school. Like, so he was like,
I had to make sure I could do it.
He was
He kept lowering my time. He kept making it harder and harder.
So it was like a 5:30. So like I moved him to like a 5:10 or a 5:15, and he ran like a 4:58 the year before. So he's like, what's going on here?
Dude, this thing would ruin your day. It would ruin your day leading up to the mile. You miss it, you got to run it again.
Rob, 4 laps. 4 laps. Like you act like you're going to go 2 weeks. To Beirut, like 4 laps, run, and like he runs like a deer. And I go, dude, that's unbelievable. I think you broke the record for the best time ever. He goes, like he started mumbling and fumbling, like, well, I went yesterday to my high school, and he got all flustered. I'm like, dude, what are you doing?
I had to make sure I could do it.
Like, you're the best runner we have. So we walked out of there. I don't know if it was his sophomore year or his junior year. And we walk away, and someone goes, nobody missed? I go, nope, nobody missed. And they go, you ever been with a team that nobody missed in their first thing? I said, nope, never. They go, what do you think that means? I said, it means we're pretty good. And we just kept walking away. I'm like, hey, man, like when your center and your 4-man are like, Juwan Johnson ran like a 5:07.
Yeah, he was right above 5.
Yeah, he's right like, he could go. And like him, like what's crazy is like, I always used to joke with Etuan Moore, plays 10 years in the NBA, but track meet broke out, you'd have to run the concession stand.
He'd be terrible.
And I'd be right there with him. He'd have nachos, and I'd have like the tangy taffies. And like he used to give everything he had.
Really?
He would run so hard at 5:28. Wow. And
But he always was right there, and he'd always make it.
It always would make it.
Always
And
make it.
like he would give. So for like if he
I like how
would've
you
went-
guys are 5:28 is a bad time in the mile.
No, I mean, it's
when I
just-
was in college, we had
it's what you were
to do
supposed to do.
2 miles in 12 minutes,
Yes.
and I never got better than 12:32. I never came close.
So we ran back then. Conditioning was 6 weeks. 2 weeks of distance, 2 weeks of football stairs, and 2 20s and Lambert
These were a
track.
beast right here.
And then 2 weeks of sprints, alternating days, so 10 days of sprints total. But if you didn't make your mile and your 2 mile, so our mile was 5:30, which they had to lower my time, and then my mile was 12, which I never made. I made a 12:28, and I made a 5:38. So I never made the actual time. But if you didn't, so you ran Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday for 6 weeks, but if you didn't make your mile and your 2 mile, you ran on Sunday. So I was a Sunday
You had to
runner.
run it till you made it.
And I tried to explain like the whole DNA process, and like if you came to my family reunion, you'd understand some things. And you guys did a poor job recruiting, and I'm here, so like let's modify some things. But they moved my time to 5:40, and I made that my senior year. And then they moved my 2 mile to 12:30, and I made that. So I always talk about it to those guys, like, did it help me? Like, I guess, but like, man, you guys got it a lot easier now than we had it then, or even when he had it, but back then we couldn't do the individual workouts.
Right.
So that's when everything shifted. So like, it's my 31st year coaching. So when we finished your last game in the tournament, the coaches didn't work with you until the first day of practice, October 15th.
Yeah, it's
it was just archaic. And so now you get to work with them. So like in the summer when they give us our 4 hours, everybody goes, well, how's your workouts going? I go, I don't know. We don't work out. We practice. So like if you're going to get time, why not practice, especially like a freshman? Because now those guys want to know the vernacular. Those guys want to but if they got to play for you, like you got to give them a chance. Or the older guys just have a really unbelievable advantage on them.
Do you remember our conversation in Australia? We were talking about this before you got on. We went 2-3, and we lost the last game, and there had been one of our players got a massage instead of going to the Great Barrier Reef.
Yeah,
so he charged it to the room and tried to get Purdue to pay for it. And then we had some player coach, I think, talk back situation in the game. So you weren't happy about that.
Yeah.
And
that
then
was him.
yes. And then you grabbed me, and do you remember what you said?
I do not.
You said, you need to get this team together because this season is already going down the drain. And it was in August.
Circling the drain.
I was like, oh, my
August
God.
August 11th, we were circling the drain.
Yes, dire straits in August.
So we had a guy, and then we went to the Great Barrier Reef. And, you don't, you make them go, but, if they don't want to.
He might get seasick, or he might not like boats.
If you get seasick or something, you don't have to go,
This guy just wanted a massage?
I didn't
He
go
was not going to be
because I get
seasick. He just didn't want to go.
So he just gets a massage on his own, and then he tried to say, the price of it going to Great Barrier Reef was the same as that, so he just swapped it out.
Which is great logic.
And so they call me like we're getting ready to get on the bus like at 4:30 a.m. and he says it to me, and I'm like, first of all, it's a hell of a try, right? Like let's tip our cap to it. Yeah. Hell of a try, but no, get your credit card. You got to pay for that. You just don't do things and then at the end ask for forgiveness. And then we had another guy that was a good player for us,
Yep.
but he always reverted everything back to where he was from and how he did it before. And I'm like, dude, that's not how we're doing. It's not how we're operating. So we had a little dispute during the game. So,
but it was dire straits coming off that 2-3 Australia trip. With that being said, though, we played some really good players over there.
Really good, grown men. And that's what we're not. That's what in those trips you're not playing now. You're playing like the 19Us, the 20Us, and if you get in an Olympic year or now in a World Cup year, and then the pro teams aren't quite ready. Mm-hmm. And those guys have been now training to get there or try to get there, or they're still in it, whatever it might be. Now you're not seeing. You're having great. We just had a fabulous trip, unbelievable. But then when you say, "How was the basketball?" It was just okay. They're like, well, "How was your trip?" Fabulous, because more
everything
of it is
else,
just spending time together and hanging out.
So you and I talked last week for the Almanac, and one of the things that we talked about was Zach Edey, and you kind of reminded me that he's only been playing basketball for 5 or 6 years. We forget that and how much higher his ceiling can be. The other thing that I really took out of that was Trey Kaufman-Renn and how much he could make a jump this year.
Right.
Why?
He's just really good, and where I messed up last year was, and you can get tricked by some things. Like Zach is such, you have to be so aware of him, and you can have some struggles, and when you have a great player, he makes everybody better. He's a multiplier, and we're the number 1 efficient offensive team in early February, and we end up 12 at the end. But it doesn't mean we were 12 at the end. It means we were way worse to average it at 12. You get a lot of data, it's hard to move the needle, and that's really a big jump. And it really came down to us just missing open shots and being wide open. Well, he's a guy, he's not a prolific shooter, but he can really score. So, if you can't get 60 points in the first round of the NCAA tournament as a number 1 seed, you don't deserve to win. But as a coach, you look back and say, I got a guy on my bench that, really could have scored. But Caleb First really made strides defensively. And then Mason Gillis is a really, really efficient offensive player. But he causes problems. There's a difference between being able to play a role and play alongside someone like Zach or actually being in the game. We run a lot of ball screen stuff. We don't get credit for it because we haven't done a ton of it before. But the guard that we have in Braden Smith, man, he is great. He's a great passer. He sets people up. And then obviously we get the ball to Zach a lot. Having kind of that third piece that we can get the ball to, because who in the world's going to go double off of Zach Edey? Right? That's foolish. But you got to double him. When he comes in the game as a 5, he might play 8 to 12 minutes for us last year. We throw him the ball. And some of that is kind of counterproductive because you sit there for a half an hour, and now you got to sub in, and now you want to blend into the game, and I want to utilize him right away because I'm going to get Zach Edey back in the game.
Right.
And now he's really worked at defending the 4 and some of the issues and some of the stuff that we laugh about now that people would say, hey, we'll play Rob at the 3. I put him at the 3, and he'd run out there like a chicken with his head cut off. People are hey, dude, it's not that
Lysterious Dunn is on line 1.
Lysterious Dunn, a little
Good luck to you,
I had the worst shot in basketball history and maybe the worst defensive possession with Lysterious Dunn.
I gave Rob a fair shot. I probably gave him 4 possessions.
Never practiced.
That's all you needed.
Yeah, I don't know what his problem is. And so he could just score, man. He really had a great summer. He's leaned out. But he's working towards the defensive piece because that's what we need to have that. But talking about Caleb First, Mason Gillis, I feel like we got one of the best front lines in the country, if not the best. We have a 7'2" kid that did some good things overseas. It's going to be hard for him with Zach coming back. But we like where we are with our front line.
Do you think Zach's the best player you've ever coached? And I know you've coached some good ones, from Carl to Jawan Johnson, Etuan Moore, Biggie, Carson Edwards.
Well, if he's a National Player of the Year again.
Right, how could you say he's not?
Yeah, 2-time National Player of the Year. Biggie was runner-up National Player of the Year. And so, now he is consensus National Player of the Year. And if he does it again, he would have to be.
Yeah.
So with the guards, the young guards that you have you seen kind of a step forward in their maturity, a step forward in the readiness that they have for the season? How have they shaken off like the way that your year ended last year?
Like I'm a big believer in like Rob was somebody that if he'd miss a shot or two, he'd stop shooting the basketball. So really trying to get guys that can shoot and also play make, because we used to use him a lot as playmaking and passing the basketball. So I would always tell him, like, hey, man, when you miss one and it's a good shot, it can't affect your next open one. You got to take that and keep doing that. Well, I feel that way about Braden Smith. I feel like he dribbles to pass too much. And that's his biggest asset is his passing. But if you can go and score, like the last 10 minutes of our Marquette game, he has 20 points in the game. He just takes over the game. He hits a pull-up three. He gets in the paint and makes pull-ups. He gets to the rim. He gets fouled. So just trying to get him to be aggressive more than anything. And then Fletcher Loyer just kind of getting healthy, and he can really score. But he's got to learn to play in advantageous scenarios, beating people on closeouts, getting angles from his cuts, getting things in transition. So he's in a great spot because you always want to play with the great point guard and you always want to play with the great center. Yep. If you're a two guard, like who doesn't want that? So like I think he's really going to make a big jump next year, and I think Braden will make a big jump.
You know what the three of us think of you as a coach and as a person, but you've taken a lot of shit lately from losing. I got the sun right in my eyes here. From losing,
that's that comment.
Losing, there you go. From losing after you in St. Peter's.
Yes.
How has that affected you?
Right.
Like, you're human. Like,
Right.
How has that affected you?
Yeah. Well, when I look at it, like, first of all, I always talk about, like, I can fix myself better, I can fix you. So, like, when you look at your players or you look at your roster or you look at how you play or your schemes, like, take inventory on what you do, first of all, before you step foot back out there. And so, like, when you look at the Farley-Dickinson game and you look at the St. Peter's game, you see the same trend. What I mean by that is same types of players, shorter, quicker, but anytime, I don't care where we play it or when we play it, high volume threes, low percentage, high turnovers, we're in trouble. But everybody's in trouble there. Like, don't turn the ball over. Like, we had the third best offensive rebounding team in the country. Like, drop kick a couple up there. Like, don't throw it to the other team. And so, like, when you have 16 turnovers in a possession game, like, and now you can't make a wide open shot, you're going to get yourself in position like we were. But, like, keep giving yourself chances. In the St. Peter's game, it's high turnovers by Zach, it's high turnovers by J.I. In that game, it's high turnovers by Braden Smith. And so when you look at it, last year we had the number one shot quality team in the country. So we got the best shot in the country. And we had the third best offensive rebounding team in the country. So it makes a lot of sense to keep doing what you're doing, keep rebounding like you're rebounding, cut back on your turnovers, but also use that as a motivating factor. But like I told our team, like, you know, throw North Texas in there, like, I'm the common denominator. The guys on our team didn't play in the North Texas game. So we keep getting into those things. And one of the things that I don't think I've done a great job is, so like when you roll into Indiana or you roll into Michigan State or you go and play Villanova in Connecticut, whatever it might be, those type of games, like you have a level of competitive fear. Like, hey man, they could blow your ass out real quick here. All right, you better be hooked up or Michigan State's going to run your head into the concession stand. Like, let's go. Let's get with it. I don't think I've done a great job of instilling that competitive fear in those games. Everybody's got to understand it's the NCAA tournament. Now, you get a competitive dude like Rob, you don't need hey, man, give me a break. Like, come on, man. It's the NCAA tournament.
Right.
But not everybody's like him. Like, he's an outlier. Like, but who does that go on? That goes on the coach. And so, like, if you're accountable as a coach and you kind of dig into, like, the why of things, but from a schematic standpoint, it's like, hey, man, like, you got to be productive here. Like, I'm not going away from taking the best shot in the country. I'm not going away from being the third best. So when J.I. was a sophomore and Travion Williams was there, we were like the 83rd best defense in the country. We were awful, terrible. So we get into that game.
Rob could have played the three on that team. Rob could have played the three on that team.
Guarded the three.
And so, but my whole thing was, we don't follow a game plan very well defensively. So the assistants come to me and say, we need to change this, we need to change that, we need to change that. I'm like, no, we don't. I go, you watch. The guys that will play this year won't be as talented. I go, but they'll follow what we do. And then we got into like 22, 23. So last year we were 12 offensively, we were around 22, 23 defensively. Like 3 teams were in that top 25, and we're making strides in that area. Like Zach was not a great defender as a sophomore. He's on the all-defensive team as a junior. He made strides there. And so, like, I think we're really coming. We've added some quickness and athleticism, which we were a little bankrupt with last year. So I like it, but I like more the fact that our guys have embraced it from an accountability standpoint.
My question to you was more of like, how were you mentally after that?
Oh, it's hard.
That's right.
Yeah, it's borderline. See, you don't like to say like how you really feel because you don't want to take anything away from your opponent. Like, because I got a lot of respect for anybody that laces them up and competes, and we got beat straight up. But it's embarrassing. Like, you know, think about working. Like, you got to understand, you know how hard it is to do shit straight up and be a number 1 seed?
Especially at Purdue.
Yeah.
Not easy.
And like, period. And so, like, you know how hard it is to win the Big Ten by 3 games?
Yeah.
Like, and so, like, anybody that's competed at that level understands that. And so we have fought to get in the best position, and then we squander it. But I don't like talking about it because I don't want to take anything away from them.
Yep.
But to me personally, it eats at you. It eats at you you can't.
Yeah.
Like, that's the bad part of coaching is, like, you should cherish your Big Ten championship and the tournament championship and beating Duke and beating Gonzaga and winning the PK. But you just think about that. And you should, because that's how you
what
get
everybody's
judged.
talking about. That's the hard part, right?
Yeah.
Like, obviously we know how much harder it is in a regular season.
But it is accurate. So, like, when people are saying things about you that aren't true, like, come on, man. But when people are saying, like, hey, man, you keep getting knocked out of the tournament, well, it's true. We need to do something about it.
Listen, it's one of the things I love about you is you're as accountable as anybody. There are very few coaches that could say what you just did, take the accountability, be out there right away. I mean, you didn't hide.
Right.
You came right on our show, I think, soon after in the summer. And, again, listen, we appreciate you coming by, obviously. You know that. We appreciate everything you did to make this guy into an actual player. Because I saw him in AAU, and, man, it was ugly.
He was pouring in 5.
It was
I
ugly.
didn't shoot very much in AAU.
No, he didn't.
Antoine Moore
we
was
found
handling
something
that
out.
for
We
me.
found something out. So Coach K, when he was recruiting Hummel would have gone to Duke. Coach K thought he was Taylor King.
Did you know this story?
Have you heard the story about what he said?
I heard something about when you went on a visit and they said the wrong city.
Well, he said, I'm so glad that you could be here from California.
So
but
we
they
figured
think
out
that
it's Taylor
They
King
think
now.
that he
I mean,
thought
they
I was
look
Taylor.
similar.
But Taylor was committed to them.
Right?
Taylor
Other
was
than
too big of a
tattoos,
name.
they look
Taylor
similar.
was at ABCD campus at 8th grade.
He could really shoot it, too.
Like, I was talking recruiting, like timing of things, and then the overload of players in your area. So at his grade,
Oh, you a dude.
Derrick Rose, Eric Gordon. So Derrick Rose is an hour from him.
Yeah.
2 hours from him is E'Twaun Moore. I mean, 30 minutes is E'Twaun Moore.
Yeah.
But then Eric Gordon is in Indianapolis 2 hours away. So you throw in like Jared Bayless, Kevin Love, like it was an unbelievable class.
O.J. Mayo.
O.J. Mayo, Billy Walker. So when you get into all that, the trickle down helps the Boilers.
But you did a good job recruiting us, too.
Thank God. Thank
you
God
can
it
say
was
what you
a
want,
loaded
but-
class.
But you,
Otherwise,
Coach Martin and Coach Lusk, you guys did a great job recruiting.
well, we appreciate you stopping by always.
Hey, no problem.
Great seeing
Thank
you,
you.
and
Thanks,
we'll
Ray.
talk to you soon.
Thanks, Payne. Big news. The Almanac is officially back. The most exhaustive and comprehensive guide to the 2023-24 college basketball season is available for pre-order now. If you go to cbbalmanac.com, link is in the description below, you can pre-order for just $15.99 or 20% off the sticker price. The format is going to be a little bit different this season. Instead of an 850-page PDF, you'll be getting access to the full site with league-by-league PDFs available for download. The preview will be live on September 20th, so you have until then to be able to get your pre-orders in. So for insight for all 362 Division I teams from their head coaches and the experts that cover them, make sure you hit that link. Our partner for today's episode is Athletic Greens. I started taking AG1 during the college basketball season, and I loved the impact that it had on my energy levels. I'm a big coffee in the morning guy, but by the time that the afternoon would hit, I needed another boost. AG1 helped me tremendously, especially on those days when I didn't want to get up off the couch and go hit the gym. Their tagline is AG1 is comprehensive health and the power of habit in one. And man, that could not be more true. It's nearly impossible to eat and drink in a healthy manner in the month of February and the month of March when you are in my business. And AG1 was exactly the supplement that I needed to improve my gut health and cover my nutritional basis for the day. I've continued that into April. I've continued that into May, and I'm going to continue that the rest of the summer. All I have to do is mix a scoop of AG1 with some water or maybe add it into a smoothie, and I'm ready to go. Do it after lunch, and you'll be ready to go for the rest of the day. If a comprehensive solution is what you need from your supplement routine, then Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Go to athleticgreens.com/field68. That's Field 68 FIELD, the number 6, the number 8, and you can get yours now. So check it out and help support this show. Thanks. Welcome back to the Field of 68's coverage of the 2023 College Basketball Hall of Fame induction class, and we are joined now by the man that had to step into the shoes that were left by Coach K, none other than Jon Scheyer, Duke head coach. John, when I asked you to come on, the first thing that you said was, do I get to rip on Hummel? So there you go. The door is open.
I just need motivation. You just need to find your motivation. That was some great motivation.
These are Nike All-American teammates right here. That
we
bond is
go way
strong.
back. Let me tell you, we
that
go
bond
way
is
back.
strong.
So you guys were teammates? No, were you teammates on that team?
We've gone all over the world with our competition, playing on the same team or playing against each other, including having a dinner in Spain.
We did, in the Canary Islands.
Yeah, it's a true story. So AAU battles, college battles. So
the problem is John won the only games that matter, and I won the only games that didn't matter. AAU, we were beating John. Spain, we won the game.
Hey, you know what
the ones in college
now?
that matter, he won.
After 1 year of coaching, he now looks a lot older than you.
The stress.
Just wait one more year. Just wait when we're doing this a year from now.
So what's it like for you being, I mean, Kay obviously in the pandemic got inducted, but tonight he'll go in and Johnny Dawkins is in. So kind of cool to, two prolific guys who really built this Duke program. What does it mean to you to be here in Chicago too, which is kind of cool for you?
No, it's really special. I mean, if I hope all Duke fans realize, I know I'm not where I'm at. I know really anybody that's come after Johnny Dawkins, probably none of us would be here if it wasn't for him, right? And you really need that first player to really believe in you. Even, I was just telling Johnny, I was fortunate to see him over there in our staff meeting, not our staff meeting, our team meeting a couple of days ago. We were talking about how we have to be in great shape. And Johnny Dawkins still to this day has a mile record.
No way.
Still to this day. It's what?
What was it? Because Hummel's got produced.
Right. We'll have to see
what
mile record.
We just talked about this.
4:38.
Oh, he got me. Coach Payne said 4:46, but I swore it was 4:43. I swear he was.
Either way, he's got
to
you.
me.
And I think he finished the last half of the lap backwards, by the way.
he was backpedaling like Deion Sanders. Huh?
So even to
that would
this
be
day,
impressive.
he still got it. But just what that team did, his class, him specifically, obviously Coach K going in is, I think it speaks for itself, which, with what all that he's done for the game. But Johnny, it's a pretty special thing. He coached me for 2 years, learned a lot from him. He's a great person, great competitor. Really happy for both of them.
Is there anything that you've done as a head coach that maybe Coach K did where you were like, as a player, I would never do that? And now you find yourself doing it a lot?
Of course, all the time.
Like what?
Well, it's, certain drills you may do where it's,
like shell drill.
Yeah, it's like, all right, when I'm a coach, when I'm the head coach, we're not going to do shell drills or, certain things like that. And you do them because you're doing them for a reason. But I think it's more when you're around somebody for such a long time. I've been around Coach K, in my life, 14 out of the last 17 years of my adult life.
Yep.
So naturally, the sayings, the things you say to your players, to the staff, your mannerisms, and so I know these guys. I know my staff on the side. I'll say, who does he think he is, Coach K, or some of the comments that I make. But I take that as a compliment, though.
When you look back you were playing in the Canary Islands like you talked about, and I remember before the season ended, you left and came to Duke to be Coach K's special assistant. Was that your first position?
Yep.
How hard was that for you to say, you know what, pro basketball, ACB is the second best league in the world.
Right.
You're playing there in Spain. How hard was it for you to say, you know what, I'm giving this up because I see what this could maybe be down the line for me?
Well, my post-playing career has been full of surprises.
Yeah.
I don't know. You try to map out your professional career for how it's going to go, and I don't know, for you guys a few years ago, would you say you guys would be doing this the way that you are? And
I'd be podcasting with this moron?
Yeah, no, that's
would not have said that.
No, but certain opportunities come up. Some not as good.
Some really
Other
shitty.
opportunities come up that just you kind of have to take it and run with it. And for me, coming back to be a Duke at that stage, to be 25, I felt like was an amazing thing. And then I was fortunate a year later, Wojo took the Marquette job. Coach K felt and could see that I was ready, bumped me up, so all of a sudden I'm 26 and I'm an assistant coach. And so that decision really gave me the opportunity to be here today, as a head coach.
John, have you ever told the story of your eye injury on camera? Have you ever talked about it, exactly what happened? Because I don't think a lot of people know the background of, again, you still had a shot of making the NBA potentially, and you go this different path, and psychologically what it did to you.
Well, I think, again, it's another example of how quickly you have to pivot, or how quickly things change. I mean, I was in Miami in their summer league camp when LeBron James went on camera and said, I'm taking my talents to South Beach. I remember me and Shavlik Randolph were having dinner. He was on the team, and LeBron, announced it. At some point, I don't know if it was afterwards or before, Chris Bosh said he's going to Miami. So I'm thinking, man, I'm going to be teammates with LeBron. This is amazing.
Seriously.
And the first game of Summer League, I had the game-winning shot. The second game, I got poked in the eye and immediately lost all eyesight. It was kind of a crazy deal. To this day, I haven't regained that vision because it's an optic nerve injury. So I went from, in one moment, thinking that was my path. A month later, I'm going to training camp with the Clippers. Still, my depth perception was coming back. I get released. And then you end up on this journey for 3 years, which really, frankly, was incredible. Playing against him in Spain, played in Maccabi Tel Aviv for David Blatt, who's a great coach and played all over the world. And I played for the Rio Grande Valley Vipers, played for a guy, Chris Finch, and now Chris Finch is a head coach for the Timberwolves. And so those experiences really helped balance me to really understand, obviously Coach K and what he's built at Duke, which I clearly believed in, but then to get other perspectives to add to it was a big deal for me.
Let's talk about this Duke team that you have this season. You get Kyle Filipowski back, you get Tyrese Proctor back, you get Mark Mitchell back, you have this recruiting class coming in. What have you seen from them this summer? How good are they? Like, what should the expectation level be for Duke this season?
It's funny, Rob. For me, I hope, I know for myself I want to appreciate it, but for all of us just who love college basketball, the decisions that particularly Kyle and Tyrese made so quickly after the season, I think they should be commended for it. It's very mature decisions. I think as you see the NBA the last few years, obviously they always look for potential, but I think they also want proven players. And so they get a chance to prove themselves even more, to go in at a better place and stick in the NBA for a long time because they're capable of that. But also they want to do more in college. Like, that means something to them. And so our freshman class you mentioned, all four of them being committed to Duke. Jeremy Roach coming back as a senior. You know, it's very rarely. How often do you see a guy that's 4 years now at a school? And so what Jeremy did. And then Mark Mitchell, of course, he could have gone pro as well. I don't know where he would have been drafted, but he would have been. And that we have 8 players returning. We didn't have any transfers go out. We didn't have any transfers come in. But I think we can be a very different team. You know, last year we had to base our team off of defense, rebounding. We had to muck it out inside. And this year we're probably more of a perimeter team where we can put 4 or 5 shooters on the court, space you, drive you. And then we have to make sure our defense is still as good as it was last year, which will be challenging to do without Derek Lively. You know, he's a guy when you miss a guy like that behind you protecting your rim, but we'll still figure out how to get it done.
What was I just going to ask you? Something, Filipowski. You know, when I was there, he still wasn't cleared yet to really do anything. Where is he now, and what's the latest on maybe him being cleared for contact, playing 5-on-5?
Yeah, well, you know, his new nickname is Two Hip Flip. Two Hip Flip. All right, so he's got 2 working hips. He's as athletic as ever, actually more athletic. He can get in a defensive stance. And for him right now, he's doing contact. You know, so 1-on-1, 2-on-2. He probably could play tomorrow if he had to, but there's a progression that our medical team has put in place. My goal for him, by the end of the month, he's able to do some 5-on-5. But we're in no rush. It's a long year. The main thing, he's healthy, strong, and in a really good position to have a big-time year.
So how much did that limit him last year? 'Cause he still had an incredible freshman year, but
it's really incredible. You know, for me, I was amazed after the season where we knew before the season he had this. It's something you can play through. Some other players we've had have had similar injuries, but the fact that he played, like you mentioned,
and played that well,
it's hard for him to run. You know, it's hard for him to be in a stance for a long period of time. And he's putting up, you know, big-time games. He's rebounding.
Sure.
He's playing through traffic. So I think we'll see some things we haven't seen from him before this year, and including on the defensive end. Like I just felt he wasn't able to move the same way that he's moving now.
Yep. We talked to Tyler Hansbrough earlier. He's another one of the inductees into the College Basketball Hall of Fame this year. You obviously played against him in college, and I know you're not supposed to say nice things about Tar Heels, but where does he rank in terms of the best college basketball players that you've seen in your time since you've been at Duke?
Well, first of all, not just him, but their team was incredible. You know, we went against in my time, some of the best Carolina teams that they had. Those, you know, the 2009 team that won the championship, you know, really all 4 of my years. And so they had Wayne Ellington and Danny Green, and really the X factor I always felt like was Ty Lawson. You know, Ty Lawson made that offense go, you know, just with how fast he was. And he was on our Nike All-American team.
Another body, Ty Lawson.
All right, so
remember he had a sidekick?
Yeah.
That was the sickest thing. He could get on
Hummel
instant
was all
messenger.
excited by his sidekick.
Dude, he could get on IM or text or call. It was sweet.
That was the thing. That was me and Robbie were on the side. You know, Ty was the guy that made our Nike All-American team go and that North Carolina team. But Hansbrough, you know, Tyler's just big-time competitor. You know, what he did, you know, scoring and rebounding. I don't know where he ranks. You know, I'd have to go through each player, but he's up there. I mean, he's had a hell of a career. Happy for him. He's a big-time competitor, and now you got to make him say nice things about us after all these nice things.
Let's talk about the 09-10 Duke team then. We'll let you balance it out. What was special about that?
That was
deal?
the first Final Four that I ever covered was the year that you won the national title, if you want to know how old I am now. So that's where I'm at in my life.
Well, you see, we could have talked about that. Yeah. That was
Well, listen, we appreciate you stopping by.
Yeah.
Go enjoy the night. You got plenty of Duke people here to probably schmooze with. So
Absolutely.
Good seeing you,
Absolutely.
and we'll talk soon.
You got it. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks, John. We're going to hang out here for 1 second, but we have I think we have Roy Williams coming up next. So this is what we call vamping, Hummel. This is what we call. Thanks, John. This is what we call vamping.
Can you do it or no? Are you incapable of doing it right now? All right.
I am not John
We're going to have Hall of Famer, former North Carolina coach Roy Williams join us here in a minute. Pretty cool to switch out the Duke head coach for the former Carolina head coach, and a guy that, you know, honestly, he's been out there in the public quite a bit. All right, look at this! Wow, I've never seen. Wait,
there we go.
I've never seen a Duke guy be this nice. 6? Is that true? Really?
I'm not going to talk about it, but I was wearing Carolina gear.
Oh, wow. We need that
Can we
photo.
get that
Roy,
picture?
Roy,
Can we get that
need
picture, John?
Man.
Listen, we're
How you
live.
doing,
We
Roy?
have
Good to see you.
Doing all right?
Very well. You?
Good, good.
Good to see you here. And obviously, you know, you're here for one of our favorite guys, Tyler Hansbrough. He's been doing some stuff for us. How about that? He's become a media star.
Say it's easier to get him to do it now than he was as a
Oh
player.
my! Are you kidding? Like Tyler Hansbrough, you know better than anybody. When he came into the program, talk to me a little bit about what he was like. I mean, quiet, shy, obviously just wanted to work, right? Just wanted to play ball, and that was it.
Well, I didn't really see the shyness or the quietness
Yeah.
because we were focused on trying to help him be the best basketball player he could be, and that's all he cared about.
Yeah.
It wasn't about any other frills or anything. He just wanted to try to be the best player he could be, and you know what he accomplished all 4 years he's there is just off the charts. But now he's my golfing partner, and we took care of Wes Miller and Bobby Frazier a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, you did?
Oh,
All right,
wow.
that's good to have that
Yeah.
when we see Wes and Bobby, because
That's
that's well. Listen. We know the two things you like more than anything other than coaching were playing golf and hitting the casino, right?
Well,
Those
no.
were two up there. They're up there.
They're up there. It's basketball. It's
Yep.
family.
Yes, okay.
Basketball, and I do like to tee it up. And over the last 20 years, I've learned how to shoot crap. So yeah, I like
I
that
know
too.
you have. Listen, I always heard these stories from other coaches. They'd always tell me, yeah, Roy would come into town, and maybe it'd be it might be a neutral site game, or you go somewhere and you'd hit out Mark Few like the night before. Can we meet somewhere? Right?
That was only one time, but it did get a lot of. It's 2009. We're in the regional together at Memphis. We're going to play each other in the round of 16, I guess. And I called Fewy because he likes to shoot craps, and I do too. And we had played poker together at the Nike coaches tournaments or coaches trips. And so I said, when do you get in? He said, Wednesday night. And I said, we do too. And the game is on Friday. And I said, what time do you get your guys to go to bed? He said, about 12. And I said, I do too. And he said, what do you got on your mind? And I said, Tunica's only 23 minutes down the road. And so the best part of the story is that he loaded 7 guys into his car.
No.
I loaded 6 into my car.
Really?
We take 13 of us and go down to Tunica. We gamble for a couple hours. We help out the I guess that's Tunica, Mississippi. We help out their tax routes because we gave them a lot of money. And then we leave, and I'm going up the road, and I got out about 5 minutes in front of him, and all of a sudden I get stopped by the highway patrol.
No, you didn't.
And so I said, gee, Christmas. And so the guy comes up, and he was really hesitant about coming. And he said, Coach, what are you doing? I says, we're trying to help out the state economy down in Mississippi. We just came back from the casino. And he started laughing, and they'd had a lot of people drunk driving out that night, leaving the casino. And he said, what got me? He said, you're driving the car with that big logo on the side that says NCAA tournament. I said, well, they give me a courtesy car. And he said, well, I'm going to let you go. He said, you weren't speeding bad. He said, I'm just checking a lot of people. And I said, would you do me a favor? He said, if I can. I said, Mark Few, the Gonzaga coach, is about 10 minutes behind me. Would you make sure you stop him too? So, but it's my high school coach got me into golf. He's the reason I started coaching, and he was one of 3 guys that taught me how to shoot craps. So according to my wife, Wanda, my high school coach is 0 for 3.
Coach, it seems like the last couple of years watching Carolina games, we always see in the stands. Has it been hard to turn off the coaching aspect and just watch to enjoy? Or is it something where you can never turn that off because you did it for so long?
You know, a little bit of both. I've only really made a big mistake twice. Once was Mohegan Sun in the Hall of Fame tournament my first year. The Hall of Fame gave me seats right on the court, and I didn't think one guy hustled, and I jumped up and I stepped out on the floor about 2 or 3 feet and screamed at him, and then remembered I was supposed to sit my butt down, and so I sat down. And then last year, I sit right above the tunnel because I can sneak out quickly after the games, and our point guard, both point guards, RJ and Caleb, and they didn't get back, and the other team laid it up, and I jumped up and yelled about defensive balance. You know better than that. And then I realized my butt's supposed to be sitting in the stand. So I've only made that mistake twice, but I've really enjoyed it. I've only missed one home game, and
That's really cool.
I was put into. It may have been this thing. It may have been the College Basketball Hall of Fame. Anyway, they were inducting me in something in Kansas City, and so I sort of felt like I should go. So that was the Gardner-Webb game last year, and that's the only game I missed.
With the NIL and the transfer portal and how much college basketball has changed over the course of really just like the last 2 years, what would you do to fix it right now? What would you do to make it so that it operates a little bit more smoothly?
You know, that's a really hard question, and there's a lot of intelligent people are trying to figure it out, and they're going in the wrong damn direction as far as I'm concerned. But, I stopped coaching because everybody keeps, to this day, says, what was it? It was just what I said on the day I retired, is that I wasn't doing it as well. I felt that deep in my soul, and I couldn't come to grips with that to keep doing it if I didn't think I was doing it as well. I knew that name, image, and likeness and transfer portal and all those things that I don't necessarily agree with completely, and I like some of it. I have no problem. I tell this story. Peyton Manning, his last year at Tennessee, the first Tennessee football game. They sold 50,000 jerseys with Manning on the back for $56 a jersey, and he didn't get 1 cent. That's not right, okay? And I'm not against a kid being able to transfer, but if you make a commitment, come on, a commitment's not a dinner reservations.
Look at this guy next to you.
Say, boy, I knew there's something wrong with the light off that was flashing off the top of Frank's head. But, I'm not against the guy being able to transfer, but make a commitment to your school, and I think a kid should sit out here. Mm-hmm. And they can say all they want. Well, coaches can leave. Coaches can get their butts fired, too. I never fired a player. Some I wanted to fire, but I never did. But I think it's a weird situation now. I don't know if you can get the toothpaste back in that tube. I don't know what it's ever going to be. It was never as wholesome as I thought it was. I understand that, but I don't think it's ever going to be like it was.
When you retired, were you aware that you were doing it on April Fool's Day? Like, we got that announcement, and everybody was like, no, this is just a joke. North Carolina's just messing with us.
Truthfully, I'd gone and played golf at Augusta for 2 days.
At Augusta?
At Augusta.
Ooh, all right.
Those were the 2 days before I retired. I talked to the athletic director and Steve, and everybody said, let's do it on Thursday. I didn't know it was April 1st until we got back. And Wanda that night, she said, tomorrow's April Fool's Day. And I said, ooh, that might be fun.
So you did. You had a little bit of an idea here. You'd play with us.
That'd be an idea if I'd thought of it the year before. But I was convinced that I was going to retire then. But it would have been fun the year before, a couple of years before.
Coach, this may be an impossible question for you to answer because it's like asking a dad who his favorite kid was. But on the 09 team, if we're saying that Tyler was your best player, who's your second best player on that team?
Well, Ty Lawson set the stage for the way we wanted to play because he pushed the ball so fast. He pressured the point guards out front. He still holds the NCAA record for 8 steals in the national championship game against a very good team.
Yeah.
So Tyler was the best player, the most recognized. Everybody worried about Tyler. But Ty Lawson made us play the way I wanted us to play. And then we had some guys, just like Danny Green that could make shots from the outside that gave Tyler more. Deion Thompson, Wayne Ellington, who could make shots from the outside. So he gave Tyler. It was a very, very nice moment for me.
Well, the fact that you didn't mention Brendan Wright or Ed Davis or Tyler, the team was
Brandon Wright was already gone.
Oh, he had left.
Yeah,
he wasn't on that team.
We had Ed Davis coming off the bench.
Gotcha. So it was Ed Davis.
Yeah, Brandon had left.
Brandon left his freshman year.
Freshman
That's right.
Roy, we see you out at all these games. How involved are you? I remember when Jim Calhoun stepped down. He was at practice a ton the first year with Kevin Ollie. Obviously it's your guy, Hubert, who took over. How involved are you in being around practice, talking to maybe the players? Obviously you coach I love Armando Bacot. I'm the biggest Mondo fan there is because he's honest. He's so transparent and honest. But how involved are you in the program now?
Well, Hubert knows where I am. And that's the way I leave it. I go watch practice. I go to every game. I go to one road trip, Portland last year. I'm going to the Bahamas this year. I go to good places. But I want to be a fan, and I want him to know that I'm there if he wants to ask any questions or get another opinion. You know, in the national championship game, I looked out there, and Brady Manick was the only guy that I didn't recruit. And so I'm still involved, and we've got RJ, and we still got Armando, as you say. There's guys there that I recruited, but it's my school too. And but I try to stay out of the way, but he knows I'm there if he needs something.
Have there been aspects of coaching that you've missed from a day-to-day basis?
Oh, guys, I miss it every freaking day.
Do you? Yeah.
Oh, there's no question. I wanted to coach, win a big game, and walk out of the press. No, before I got to the press conference, fall over and die right there, so I didn't have to do the last press conference kind of thing. But no, I miss it every day. But I made the right decision for me, and I've been able to do more things with my children and grandchildren that I was ever able to do, and that's been a lot of fun.
Do you still dance after big North Carolina wins?
No, that's for Hubert to do.
That's it?
That's it. For me, it was just a way to have fun in the locker room. And in the old days, I used to do the same thing, just not as many freaking cameras around.
My last question for you is about this year's Carolina team. And obviously, it's kind of been a tale of 2 years, the last two. How frustrating was it to watch last year? Because, again, I think they kind of reverted back a little bit to not playing with some of that passion and enthusiasm that we had seen, especially the last month, 2 years ago.
You know, it was frustrating, but not nearly as frustrating as it was for Hubert and the coaching staff and the kids. And the kids wanted to do better. It just didn't happen. It wasn't one person. It wasn't one coach. It was our team just didn't play as well. That's the bottom line. And, you know, it's not in the Constitution. You've heard this before. It's not in the Constitution of the United States that North Carolina shall win. It's not one of the 10 commandments. Other teams have some say in that too. But it was very frustrating. It was very sad. But we got this year, and I'm looking forward to it. I really am. I think we got a great chance.
Well, I got one more question. Because we're in Chicago, you've got a really special relationship with Michael Jordan. What's your favorite Michael story?
Oh, it's hard to say. Every day with the guy, he tried to kill you, and I love that. His attitude about work, the practice every day was extremely important. You've heard me say this. The only guy that I've ever seen that could turn it on and off was Michael Jordan, and he never freaking turned it off.
That's the greatest quote right there.
I love
yes,
that.
right there.
And that's a Roy original. Most of mine aren't any good.
Listen, thanks for joining us.
Okay,
we appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Great to see you, as always. I'm glad you're here.
It's good to be here to watch Tyler Hansbrough get up and stutter around.
Oh, he'll be good. Listen, he's come a long way.
He's scared to death, but he'll be good.
He's come a long way.
Guys,
listen, we got confidence in him. He'll do a good job.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Roy.
This has been a blast, guys. Thank you for tuning in. The 2023 college basketball.
Last thing before we sign off, Tom Krzyzewski. No, we have to honor Tom Krzyzewski, the glider, scout, longtime scout that I knew pretty well, out of New York, passed away a couple of years ago, 74 years old, and again, he's part of this class. He's part of this class. This is a guy who used to do his scouting reports on a typewriter, and he used to mail them out, even at the end, even 2-3 years ago. And every coach, as you know, we heard earlier.
The one thing I'll say about Tom, and I didn't know him the way that you knew him, but
unbelievable human being.
When you hear coaches talk about the guys that do the high school scouting, the guys that do the high school evaluations, the guys that frankly bust their ass to do all the stuff for 24/7 and on 3 and all those guys, right? The coaches didn't speak with the same reverence of the guys that are doing it now, of the last class, the Evan Daniels that they tell us to them, that they did with Tom Krzyzewski. And I think that it speaks volumes. You mentioned it with Painter. We talked about it with Robbie Hummel. When nobody has a bad word to say about you,
nobody,
you're doing something right.
Dude also, by the way, had the firmest handshake of anybody on the planet. It was incredible. You couldn't get your hand away. Once he had it, he had it. And didn't drive. Used to kind of find a way. Adam Zagoria would take him on a lot of the trips, and but again, as old school as it got. But every coach, D1, high major to low major to D2, D3 guys, all had enormous respect for him. So again, didn't want to let that go.
He evaluated all the way back to Bernard King.
Yeah.
Was doing Peach Jam all the way up until he was too
crazy,
sick to do it.
Crazy. So I miss him. I miss him a lot.
Listen, this has been. It's been a lot of fun here. It's been a lot of fun to, break Robbie Hummel's balls. I think
Yes.
that's
Hey,
the
thanks
whole
for
reason.
having me on the Coach Cam,
Yeah,
you guys.
yeah.
Oh, it's fun. Well,
Listen, this has
at
been
least
great.
we got you on this show. So
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
We
Thanks so much for that.
We need to end this end the show because I'm going to get sunburned.
Yeah, I know.
sitting here with the reflection in my eyes.
ceremony's
So,
starting soon.
for
so.
Robbie Hummel, for Jeff Goodman, for all of our guests, Coach K, Tyler Hansbrough, Johnny Dawkins, Herb McGee, and the late Tom Konchalski, for producer Trevor, and for Kevin Sweeney, our runner of the day.